Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Sorry I am late. I hope you're doing well. I'm in a bit of a mood today, but hopefully by the time we finish today, I will have come out of it. Who knows? But yeah, I think I'm just just in my feels today a little bit, having a bit of a day. But that's allowed. It's allowed to happen. We can't all have number one 10 out of 10 best days, So I'm just riding the wave, if you will. In some positive news, actually there's a little bit of positive news. It's not all doom and gloom. I just find I'm extra sensitive to everything right now. I was getting, but I finished mulching the front garden, which is very exciting. And also, it's officially code orange at TK Maxx. So my sister-in-law just messaged me. They're at TK Maxx right now, and there is Halloween stuff there. So hopefully, the next few days I can get out there and keep an eye out for my giant ghost candle that I want to turn into a vase. It's basically a giant ceramic ghost, but it has candle in it, and so my plan is to get the candle, burn the shit out of the candle to hollow out the ceramic ghost and have that be a vase. Because we don't really have any flower vases in the house. When we do get flowers, not like we get flowers very often, but when we do, we only have like beer steins. So we have like decent sized, like giant beer steins, and that's what we've been putting flowers in. And to be fair, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's actually quite practical, but I would like an actual vase. And I think it would be fun to have a spooky ghost vase. So that is my want. That is my hope for this year. Because I think I'm doing pretty good in terms of my spooky supplies. Though I think, to be fair, just going to TK Maxx and places to look at spooky stuff just gives me the serotonin boost. You know what I mean? So half the time you're going not necessarily to buy things, but you're going to get the serotonin at looking at how cool all the stuff is. So I think that is, especially again on a day like today, is probably necessary. But yeah, I'm just gonna see if I can. There we go. Today, Thanks, Pravakis. What a line. What a line. Good afternoon to you, sir. I hope you're having a good day. Happy Thursday. I was like, what day is it? No, is it? Yeah, it's Thursday today, isn't it? Yes, happy Thursday. I hope you're doing well. We are just having cozy, happy, fun times. I was just thinking, Probacus, Halloween's not a big thing in Greece, is it? Or is it? Because I know in the UK it's getting bigger. It's obviously not to the same degree that it was in Canada, or is in Canada and the States, but I wasn't sure if other parts of Europe, because I'm sure certain parts of Europe, maybe they get a little bit spookier than others, but yeah, does Greece do Halloween in any capacity, or no? I'm only just saying because TK Maxx has started stocking their Halloween stuff. So it's, which, we call it code orange for any of the spooky people, any of the Halloween aficionados. So you say code orange when you see Halloween related items in stores. So TK Maxx has started to add theirs. They're the first of the bunch because theirs is like, I don't know how their schedule and how it works, but basically in October, their Christmas stuff is already out. It's similar, I guess, to how Hobbycraft works, but it's not like a craft store. I don't quite understand why TK Maxx stocks their Halloween stuff so early, but for my serotonin boost, I appreciate and enjoy it. But yeah. So we are continuing. I've been doing work off stream on this cross stitch. I'm actually I was saying to Liam, we're almost done another page. Mind you, there is only... there's more than 10. There's like a tiny amount of stuff on this one page. And I've done parts of it. But I'm trying to work... This is a big section here. So this is sort of the section we're focusing on. But we have a spooky day, but it's before the beginning of the 40th day preparation for Easter communion. Oh, interesting. So when would that be? Because Easter's in like March, April, depending on when that happens, right? 40 days. So that would put it what? Into like... if it's in March... That's like at the beginning of the year then, isn't it? So you don't have any sort of celebration on the 31st of October, right? Like October doesn't have any spooky inclinings for you guys? Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know that there was even any sort of spooky day in relation to Orthodox beliefs. I need to Google this now. Days before Easter is called. So it's the day before Lent? So you have like a spooky day before Lent. Spooky day before Lent is called... No, that's the night before Lent. That's Shrove. Oh! Is it Shrove Tuesday then? Because here it's telling me that Shrove Tuesday in Lithuania, they are encouraged to dress up in spooky costumes. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Let me type that in. Tiknopempti? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Google Carnival Patra. Okay. Carnival Patra. Carnival Patras or Patrino Carnivali is the largest event of its kind. Interesting. Begins on the 17th of January and lasts up to Clean Monday. Okay. Interesting. So that would be maybe considered your more spooky day, I guess. Interesting. There's like ceremonies and stuff. That's really cool though. But that's interesting to me. I wouldn't have known, obviously, that there were... I always find it so interesting, like the different sort of festivals and celebrations that happen around the world for different things. Obviously, I only know from firsthand experience Canadian and then UK holidays in terms of differing celebrations. So obviously the biggest difference here is that in the UK they don't celebrate Thanksgiving, and then they have an event called Guy Fawkes Day on the, I think it's the 5th of November. If you know, you'd be Greek. Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, so they celebrate Guy Fawkes Day, which in a way is kind of a hilarious celebration. I think it's just an excuse for British people to like light fireworks. Because I think the entire thing is like some guy. I know they talk about it a bit in V for Vendetta, which I've not seen the whole thing of. Where the whole concept is like a guy, literally Guy Fawkes. I think he tried to burn down the House of Parliament in the UK, but he wasn't successful. So it's actually, I think it was originally called Bonfire Night, and so what it would be is that people would have a bonfire because it was like symbolic for the burning of the attempted burning of Parliament or whatever by Guy Fawkes. It was unsuccessful, but now it's sort of grown in scale and now involves fireworks, which last year was real fun with Shadow, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, that's like sort of the biggest comparisons in terms of celebrations and stuff. And then obviously there are different cultures here in the UK. There are in Canada as well, obviously. But I think where I'm situated in sort of just outside of London, I think I'm a bit more culturally, like exposed culturally to different sort of celebrations and stuff like that. Whereas where I grew up, I don't know necessarily if the specific populations were big enough to be like in my cultural zeitgeist. So I'm obviously, well, now more so, yeah, but I guess in terms of like celebrations, obviously like Ramadan and Eid are things that I'm aware about. And then there's Diwali is another one that happens here as well. It actually happens kind of around fireworks night. And so Diwali, as I'm understanding of it, is like a festival of lights and colors. And so they usually have a lot of fireworks as well. But yeah, it's interesting but I guess though, if somebody, though I guess it wouldn't, because it sounds like it's a huge thing. If somebody who was Greek living in the UK, if they attempted to put on this sort of carnival, I don't know if they would be able to. You'd have to have a huge community. Maybe they do mini versions. If there's like a mini Greek, just how there's like a mini Chinatown in places. It's just a whole fiasco, by the way. It's a pagan thing that's celebrated because emperors wanted a thing for people that can relate to. Yeah, that, to be fair, a lot of Christianity and Orthodox related things are co-opted from pagan traditions. It's all related with Roman history, as well as the 25th of December to be Christmas. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the pagan celebration is called Herculeans. Yeah, I know. I feel like, I'm not sure about the actual facts, but I remember somebody saying to me that like Jesus's birthday was technically like in March. So the fact that the Christians and Catholics decided like, oh no, actually 25th is going to be Christmas, and that means it's Jesus's birthday, like they just co-opted that. It's like a rewriting of history in order to serve their own specific agenda, which is quite common. I feel it's more common than not, the rewriting of history for someone's own personal gain. But because the same thing with like the equinoxes and stuff, right? So a lot of that, like Ostara, like the festival of birth and rebirth and fertility and stuff like that, got co-opted into Easter, which, like, the fact that rabbits and eggs and things are so synonymous with Easter, that's sort of left over from the pagan Ostara, because it's like promotion of fertility, which is actually really funny when you think about how puritanical a lot of religions are, and it's actually very hush-hush to talk about like sexuality and procreation and stuff like that in those sorts of ways. But the fact that like it's totally legit to have a festival surrounded by like bunnies and eggs that sort of symbolize that exact thing that everyone is like not supposed to be talking about is kind of like it's funny to me. I mean, there needed to be a way to promote, I guess. Yeah. Well, it's also a way, I remember, because I think it's a tactic. To be fair, it's kind of like a colonizing tactic in a way, because it's like, it makes it easier to get people to convert to your religious denomination if you can sort of show them, like, see, we do something similar, and so you're still kind of honoring your history by participating in our traditions because they happen on the same days or they have similar things going on with them. And so people are kind of like, oh, okay, but really the whole goal was to eradicate the origins of that and make it specifically that thing. Spreading Christianity was on the to-do list. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just again, like there's multiple ways to coerce and control people or to get people like on your level and in your sort of servitude. Whether it's, forcing everyone to convert to a specific religion or finding ways to silence people to express their culture, stuff like that. Like it's all a way to sort of create a homogenized group and strip people of their individuality and their identity. And when you do that, it's like very army tactics as well, because it's like you need to have everybody function as a unit, right? So you kind of have to make everyone dress the same, make everyone sort of do, act, believe, exist in the same way, because then you're easier to control and you're more likely to listen. But yeah, I'm Christian as well, but learning. Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think people can have religious affiliations, and not be blinded to some of the negatives of that thing, right? Until it's pog to have people do what they want. Yeah. Yeah. Because, yeah, I think, and then I also think, too, there's a difference between, like, ascribing to a specific religion or spiritual belief structure and, like, the sort of industrialization of churches, right? And, like, the business side of religion. Because as much as people don't want, it's like there are people in positions of power that create these institutions and make money off of them. Like that's why these mega churches exist. That's why there's everyone getting like tax exemptions to do X, Y, and Z and stuff like that. That sort of like religious industrial complex is different than an individual person having beliefs and identifying with specific scriptures or specific like thoughts about the world. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It is a very long-standing business. I think the thing is, though, so mega churches are like, it's more of like, I don't know, I'm under the impression it's more like an evangelical thing in America where there are like pastors who have these big televised sermons and it's very pomp and circumstance-y and they're constantly like fundraising and like getting money from their constituents, and then it turns out that they all have like mega yachts on like private islands and shit like that, even though they're like serving the Lord and speaking the will of God to the people. Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm sure there are mega churches in other parts of the world as well, but you just see there's been like documentaries and movies and like discussions about that specifically within the US context. Where it's, yeah, like people who are it's almost like bordering on like culty, very cult leadery, as a basis of like manipulation in order to coerce people to think that you are preaching the word of God when in actually you're just saying and doing things in order to line your own pockets. And that seems to happen a lot with mega churches. Oh no! It's all good, Pro-Bacchus. Alright, what's the goal for today? So we have this section here that's all blue. So I think it would be nice if I can continue filling in this gap. We have some stuff over here. So actually from this line here down, that's the end of one page, and this sort of little tail section over here, this is actually part of another page. So actually if I could get all these little gaps filled in, that would be really cool. But yeah, we're just slowly kind of working our way down this most recent page. And we're just gonna see how far we get, you know? Hello, hi, we're doing an audit, so I just realized what time it was. Yeah, no, hi, Kat, not a problem. Good morning. Oh, audits sound like a pain in the ass. I feel like you need to, like, gather a bunch of paperwork and, like, do all of the things and submit all the stuffs. Seems like a really bad time for them to schedule an audit after a long weekend, but maybe they did that on purpose so that they thought you guys would all be underprepared or some junk. I hope you're well, though. How are you feeling? I hope you had a good long weekend. It is in fact the worst timing. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That does seem like not a good idea. Still, eh? Okay, Windows 11, they suck. Yeah, I never... Did it force you to have to upgrade? Mine keeps telling me every once in a while, do you want to upgrade? And I'm like, nah. No, thank you. I don't know why they do that. Like, until they're like, we're making this happen. Hi, Meg! Oh, I appreciate your lurk. It's so nice to hear from you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it is coming along. Super detailed. We are just working away on it. But it was so nice to hear from you. I hope you were doing super, super well. I appreciate you so much. Yeah. Have you actually been, like, I don't know if this is TMI, have you actually been throwing up, Kat? Or is it just that constant feeling of nausea without any actual, like, physical relief of such? You know what I mean? I haven't heard whatever you said about megachurches. It's not that important. I just think they're mostly a US-based thing from my understanding. I do think they exist elsewhere, but I've only seen discussions. Usually when shit is bad. Usually anytime I hear about megachurches, it's because the leader of the megachurch, the pastor, was charged with, like, tax fraud and actually was taking donations to his church and actually, like, bought a mega yacht instead and was only, like, you know, preaching the word of God to benefit himself. That's usually when I hear about megachurches. That they're cults by narcissistic sociopaths. But let me Google it. Fair. Yeah, right there. And then Windows decided just, nope, it's Thursday, too much work. Yeah, I guess so. Your computer went on strike for a minute. They were like, listen up, we're over this. None of this today, please. What the actual fuck is this mosh pit? Nope. Oh, did you just Google megachurch? Yeah, probably. Because it usually is, like, the evangelical, like, yeah, intense stuff. Yep, you did. Yeah, it's places like those that give organized religion a very bad rap. Yeah. We're still hoping for official confirmation on the 18th, right? What the hell's this WWE stuff? To be fair, like I said, I've not Googled it in a while. The only time I hear about it is when the leader of them is getting into some legal troubles. Really? Ooh, this is so exciting. I hope so. Have a safe ride then. What a way to describe that. Yeah, I guess so. I guess it is a ride. It is quite the trip. Yes, you are loving Funkle Duties. Yes. Oh my god. The 18th can't come fast enough now. I'm like, I want to know. It's so exciting though, regardless. Yeah, I feel like it seems like all of the signs are pointing in that direction. My mom being a great aunt is the best. Oh, really? Is she enjoying that? Being a grandma? I guess if you're the uncle, then that means she's the grandma or the nan or the... I know, I don't think... Yeah, to be fair, when they become a grandma, like, I think it's a different level, it seems. That's so funny. You're like, pretty sure you didn't. I guess the thing, because I feel like I've heard that, and I feel like it's kind of I don't know, I think it's a stereotype, but I do feel like people tend to, like, lean into it, where when you're a parent, it seems, you want to, like, mold your child into, like, a responsible young adult and whatever, and then when you become a grandparent, you just need to spoil the ever-loving shit out of them because their parents will be the one molding them into, like, upstanding, responsible citizens. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's like you can just do all the fun stuff and not worry about all the, like, disciplining and the making of the tough decisions with, like, how you decide to raise them. It's, like, just the fun stuff. And I think it's probably similar with, like, being an uncle or an aunt as well. Because, like, you can play with the kid and then when it starts crying, you just, like, give them back to the parent, you know? It's my cousin's children. Oh, your cousin's children. Okay, right. So it is a great aunt, but in a way, it is kind of like, yeah. My mom will lose her mind. Yeah, my sister's a kid, but we're half siblings, and she's a different mom, so my nibblings never felt like, aw, yeah. My sister also doesn't let them out of the house much. Definitely. Yeah. Oh, I think this, yeah. I know it sounds bad. Like, I do think sometimes, yeah, it's hard. I think it's hard, or, you know, as much as... I think in some instances, and it depends on the person, I think sometimes people are like, it does not matter if you are my flesh and blood, you are still, like, my family, you're still my connection, you're still all that kind of stuff. But sometimes, especially if you have, I think, too, like, your mom and you are super, super close, so I think it's even less so the fact that, like, it's more your relationship you have with each other that would probably exacerbate the, like, intensity of, like, how much joy and how much excitement there would be. You know what I mean? It's a thing to behold, yeah. People that step up, respect. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think, you know, anybody who has the capacity... Well, I think, you know, everyone... I don't know. Yeah. You're right. I do think it takes a special kind of person to be able to step up and raise kids or, yeah, be a major part of somebody's life that you weren't always a part of, you know? I think that can happen in different ways as well, whether or not you are raising, like, a child as, like, your child, or if you are, like, I don't know, just even, like, adopting, like, because, like, my mother-in-law, we always joke, so a lot of, my partners, a lot of Liam's friends, and, like, even his, like, my in-laws' friends, they joke that, she has more, because she's a mom to 4 boys, but... Technically, they joke that she's a mom to, like, 6 boys because she's kind of, like, emotionally, I guess, not officially, but I think emotionally adopted, like, my partner's best friend and then my brother-in-law's best friend. So they joke that, like, they're number 5 and 6 son and stuff like that. So sometimes we just sort of, like, well, she specifically just kind of, like, emotionally invests and adopts wayward souls that come in and out of her life. She's just like that, though. She's the best. Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. Yeah. I do find it, yeah, you don't know what to say all the time, except you go, kudos, you know, good, you know, have fun, do good, eat right, have a good time. I don't know. Relax. I think maybe that's the one thing, because I think as well, like, there's this, and I think because we live in a society that's always pushing people to have to, like, out of necessity a lot of time, but to constantly, like, work really hard and do really hard and, like, do all these things. And I think it's, like, a good reminder to be like, you are fucking growing another human in your body. Like, that is already a job. Like, that's a lot for your body to mentally, physically, and emotionally go through. And then you're expected to, like, perform really well at your job and, like, take care of the house and do all this kind of stuff. And, like, and even, too, once the child is born, it's the same thing. And I think, like, I don't know, I feel like it's easier said than done sometimes. But I guess the best thing is to be, like, and go through an audit. Yeah, truly. Yeah, really. That's probably the hardest one, to be honest, out of everything. But yeah, I think the one thing too is like, oh man, like, congratulations, but also like don't beat yourself up about, yeah, like, just enjoy the experience and not overwhelm and stress yourself out about all the million things you have to do, you know? Yeah, 150%. Yeah, try not to stress. Yeah, definitely. I guess it's one of those too where, because I know I've had other, like, people in my life where they've been in situations where they are expecting a child, but, like, there's a lot of stuff up in the air with their life at the same time, and it's just kind of like, well, we're just gonna figure it out, you know? Like, you just have to, like, that just has to be the mentality, or else you break, you know? But yeah, because I know you are now going through, well, eventually, you know, kind of going through a transition with what Chris is gonna do and stuff like that. But that will figure itself out, right? Like, everything will figure itself out. I have to trust that, you know? And, like, I'm not of the mindset of, like, the universe will just, like, all come together and everything will be perfect. Like, you know, you gotta do stuff. And you guys are. It's not like you're just like, yeah, we're just gonna lay back and, like, wait for shit to fall in our lap. You're not that kind of person. So you will do what it takes to make it work. Not the universe will provide. Like, I guess there is, I don't know, it's kind of this thing where I'm like, I do think that positive thinking and, like, the power of positive thinking is a thing, but also I think there needs to be more to that. Like, yeah, you have to put the work in and also think positive. It can't just be the positive thoughts, right? But we'll see. Yeah, he's sending off applications left, right, up at this point. Yeah, exactly. Would he, well, I guess right now, because he's still in school, he can't. But if he finished, I assume he'll find work before then. But, like, in a situation where if he was finished school, do you think he would apply for jobs out of state? Though, not being funny, if this is what's happening now, I think if you try to move out of the state, your mom's gonna be letting you go kicking and screaming. I don't think that's gonna happen. I know you'll do what you have to do. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, if this is what's happening, she's gonna lose her goddamn mind. And then you're gonna turn around and be like, yeah, and also we're moving. Yeah, or she'll fight me. Yeah, exactly. 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 She'll be like, listen. Not gonna lie, if we were expecting I'd go to relieve all the stress from a partner. Yeah. Yeah, well, in situations like that, it's not like there's other, you know, there are always other options. If it's not something you're ready for, you know what I mean? But yeah, the last thing you want to do if you get into a situation where your partner becomes pregnant and you are not ready to be a parent is to abandon them. Don't do that. Don't do that one. There are other options. We only have one car at the moment and can't really afford another one, so it needs to be an online position. Okay. That would be interesting. I guess because you said he has, like, it was like IT experience, right? So that could potentially lend itself quite well to Ghost from Monk doesn't come back. I know the strat. Right. Yep. No, it's not milk, it's cigarettes. Isn't that the trope? Isn't that the unfortunate negative trope? Also, I don't get maternity leave here. They just hold my job for Yeah, I remember you saying that, which is such a stupid thing. Ugh, I don't like that. I don't smoke. Well, I don't know what to tell you then. You better... If you want your plan to work, you gotta take up the habit. Just kidding. Don't do that. That's a terrible idea. Yeah. Never start. Yeah, truly. Don't do it. Don't do it. The modern day thing is to get milk. Oh, is it? That's the modern day. That's the modern day trope. Next thing you're gonna tell me you're lactose intolerant. They went to go get vegan coconut milk and just never came back. That would be wild. Safe, yeah. Yeah, Snipin' comes in to update the stereotype for us. I appreciate that. Well, this is nice. This is actually moving along quite quickly to fill this in, which is really cool. Anyway, I hope you're having a good day, Snipin'. I hope you are well. I hope you had a good... I think you had a long weekend. You guys are in the States too, yeah? Did you have a good long weekend? How were things? People will look down on you if you go out for smokes and don't come back, but abandoning your partner for milk is acceptable. Yeah, Or should I have gone to get milk? Maybe my mom would have had better. Yeah, possibly. LOL auto, yeah. Don't worry, we'll allow it. It's one of those things where I'm like, I cannot slander your dad, but you can slander your dad. You know what I mean? It's like the thing where it's like, I can make fun of my siblings, but no one can make fun of my siblings. People have different relationships with their parents, right? So we are not. And I think that's the thing. I think it's a very, like, it's sort of a... I was on the hunt for ethically sourced milk, babe. Sorry, it took 18 years. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? In those instances, you're right. You're like, why didn't you just go off and get milk? I think as well, too, like, I think that's, you reach a certain age, and I don't know, sometimes earlier than others, where you sort of realize, like, I don't know, like, you can respect that people are your parents, but also you can respect that if they're not treating each other correctly in a relationship, it's actually not the worst thing for them to no longer be together. You know what I mean? I feel like, I don't know. I feel like for me, it would suck. I don't know. I feel like because my parents have never given me any indication that they would be in that sort of situation. I think when I was a kid, like when I was young, if they were to have gotten divorced, I think I would have been devastated. But I think, like, as I'm older and you realize, like, oh yeah, relationships, like, can change and evolve or whatever, and sometimes what you want out of a relationship isn't being reciprocated, or your needs aren't being met, or boundaries are being, you know what I mean, like, violated or whatever. It's fine for that to break down, you know what I mean? But yeah, there was just how someone, yeah, Yeah, absolutely. Right, exactly. Yeah, just because it's one of those where I think not everybody has the maturity and the self-awareness to be like, yo, this isn't working. But that was a while. Yeah, I think there's definitely ways to go about that. Again, I've never been in that situation. I don't know what that would be like, but I do think like there are many people, well, like I have family members like that are no longer together, but they very successfully co-parent or did co-parent. Obviously everyone is grown up now. In a way that there was no malice, and so they were no longer together, but it doesn't mean that the other person was ever not in the children's lives, you know what I mean? And obviously there are caveats to that. If there is any sort of abuse or manipulation or things going on, sometimes it isn't healthy or safe for people to be in their children's lives for a variety of reasons. But I do think that it is possible for relationships to break down and there still be positive co-parenting that occurs between the individuals as they move on in their separate lives. You know what I mean? But yeah. He tried to leave 3 times before my mom. Yeah. Right? That's always so interesting, isn't it? I find that so fascinating where people, and I don't know if, like, I'm sure that comes from this is not this example specifically, but I do know situations where there are, I don't know if it's like a narcissistic thing or it's like basically it's a disrespect thing where it's like, I trust that you don't feel like you could get any better than me, and because I know that about you, I'm going to take advantage of the situation, and you are just gonna let me do whatever I want because you don't think that this is gonna get any better. And then when the person actually gets some self-growth and goes actually no, fuck you, the person who's being like the perpetrator is like, wait, what? Really? You're telling me to leave after all the shitty things I did? And the person's like, yeah, go away, fuck off. And they're like, wait, really? Are you sure? And then they're like confused as to why they can't. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, and then it's like, oh, you thought that you could just be a shitty person with no consequences? Oh, how interesting. Oh, how interesting. Like, yeah, and then they're sitting there being like, oh yeah, like my life didn't pan out the way I wanted it to, and I'm like, yeah, well, sucks to suck, you know? Like, I don't know. Yeah. There are many weird things. For example, my uncle and aunt broke up. She's not allowed to see him and the children, but she wants the grandmother's house for the family debts. But my grandma said, nah, he divorced her, and she went all vindictive. Now my uncle tries to get the children. Yeah. Yeah, some of them can be messy. Like, some situations can be extremely messy, and I do think that, you know, my heart does break for the children that are involved in those situations, because I think sometimes people aren't, for whatever reason, you know, people got demons, people got baggage, and they're not able to positively and appropriately navigate their hurt and their betrayal and their feelings, but then they use their kids as collateral or fodder in the battle of trying to heal themselves, I guess. And then, you know, I don't think any child can come out unscathed from something like that. But it's hard. Like, it's hard to be on the periphery of witnessing something like that. I think sometimes people can, if people are close enough to those individuals, like if, you know, the family, like if external family members are able to intervene, like they provide a lot of the childcare for the children and stuff like that, and are able to sort of insulate the children or provide that sort of stable environment where they're not getting it in other places, Yeah, that's a very random thing for them to auto-mod. Auto-mod? I don't understand. That's so funny. What a random auto-mod. The little one is now in mid-high school, hasn't seen her dad in a year. She competes in European water sports on the youth national team. Wow. That's amazing. Like, they're very talented. Good for her. The bad word was water sports. They assumed that water sports was a sexual term. It's one of those where I appreciate the auto mods attempting to catch like innuendos and stuff that is meant to be implied in certain contexts. But it's like sometimes a water sport is just that. Sports on the water of the athletic variety. You know what I mean? Like, it's trying. We can't get too mad at it. I don't know. That was just, well, yeah, technically, sometimes. In some contexts, I get why, but in this context, it absolutely was not the situation. See, if anything, at least we can always, you know, auto mod is a good way to cut the tension sometimes. I feel like sometimes they just come flying out of left field. That's not my jam. Exactly. We're not gonna yuck anybody's yum. It's just funny to me that auto mod was like, is this? And we're like, nah, dude, false alarm. Don't worry. It was fine. Yeah. But yeah, good for Automod for providing us with the lulz, you know? So Shadow is fine. So there's gonna be no stream tomorrow because Shadow is finally getting groomed after many... I'm trying to think when his last groom was. It's been like multiple months because he was due for one last month, but I had to cancel because I had a thing to go to with my parents when they were here, and the only available time was tomorrow. And so he was already like late for his groom, and then it got pushed back another month. So homeboy has the grinchiest looking feet. His eyebrows are a mess. His hair on his nose is like growing into his eyes. So he's just gonna look like a whole new pup after, which I'm very excited about. But that means obviously because it's at 2 and he'll be gone for a little bit. So by the time we do all that kind of stuff, yeah, that, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, I can't diagnose anybody with anything, obviously. I am not a medical professional in that respect. In any respect, actually. But I feel like there's probably a lot going on. And I think sometimes there are different ways that people process intense emotions and traumatic situations, and that, you know, for this individual, not eating properly could be one of them. And also not, yeah, you know what I mean? There's lots of different ways that people cope with trauma and big emotions and difficult situations. And you can only hope that people are putting things in place to protect and support them when they navigate that stuff. But not everyone has the luxury of having access, or people, they don't have the support people in their lives to recognize that they need help and setting that up for them, which is really unfortunate. We need a before and after. Before Shadow, light now. Yeah, truly. Yeah, no, definitely that'll have to happen. I think too, I'm gonna take him to the forest tomorrow to get him super tired and get all the zoomies. Though I'm sure he'll be covered in burrs. Oh my god. I took him to one of the fields in our neighborhood. Was it on Monday? I think it was on Monday. And there's this creek area that he likes to go into, but it's obviously, there's it's rained a lot, but I think it's dried everything out. So the creek itself has no water in it. But he still insists on going around and like scoping out the joint. But a lot of these fields, they will only mow certain bits in order to allow like wildlife and things like that to flourish and find food and whatever. So Shadow is traipsing through the tallest grass near this creek, and like to the point where it's taller than him. And he comes out and he's absolutely covered. His legs are covered in, they're called burrs, but they're basically like like I don't know, like the little spiky seeds of plants. And so what happens is, obviously, like from a seed spreading capacity for these wild plants, they're like, they have these tiny little, I guess, hairs on them that then allow them to attach onto, you know, people, animals and stuff, and allows those seeds to then spread and then pollinate, right? It's like a tactic that they use for germination. But obviously with like grass seeds and burrs and stuff like that, if you're not careful, they can accidentally like grow and get embedded into your dog's skin and get infected and become a whole thing. So I always make sure after we come back from walks that I always like give Shadow the once over to make sure he doesn't have any like seeds or things like stuck in his fur or stuck on his body and stuff like that. So homeboy comes out. There's all of these burrs like stuck on his cheek, on his ears, all on his legs, on his stomach. I think it took me like 10-15 minutes to pick out like a pile of burrs from his body. So I say this being like, oh, we'll go to the field with him before the groom. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, and then we're going to come in. I'll probably clean out, obviously, as much of the, like, any stuff that gets on him before going to the groomer. But I can just imagine us getting there and then being like, we found all this stuff in his fur, and I'll be like, damn it. But I guess maybe it's a good thing that they find any of the ones that I miss. But yeah, we're going to get him nice and tired. I think, because again, he's such a whiny boy when I drop him off. But I definitely think it's all pomp and circumstance. And the groomer even says, like, he's such a little prince and he, like, loves being pampered. He's so silly. So I think he's actually going to love it. He pretends he doesn't. But then when I pick him up, they say he's, like, the bestest boy in the whole world. So I worry about ticks here with the dogs. They're very fluffy right now. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's another thing that I think, because I've never seen one, and like I would like to think, like, because obviously Shadow only has a single coat and he's basically like pretty bald on his belly, so I would assume I would see something quite obvious. But I don't know. We're always checking him though, like always looking for like abnormalities, and he had like a bump and stuff like that, so we're looking at that like, okay, what is this and stuff like that. But luckily, knock on wood, we've not had any major issues. But I could see that being a problem with like really fluffy dogs and stuff, being able to, and also too, if they like, I would assume dogs that don't like, I don't know if your dog's like being brushed or not, but I know that some dogs don't like being brushed, and so I could see like trying to search them for ticks, for grass seeds, stuff like that would be really difficult. And so you sort of have to like pick your battles. They hate it. They do hate being brushed. Yeah. And so that'll be like, okay, well, when we go for, you know, our walks, it'll be only on the pavement or only in areas that's completely mowed and stuff like that, right? PTSD, burning iron. Yeah. Oh no. You have tick experiences, Probacus. To be fair, I never really knew anything about, kind of, I guess they would talk about it in, like, not in school, but I'd hear about it, like, on social media or whatever. They would talk about, like, oh, it's tick season, make sure you look for this and this. Right, yeah. But the biggest thing, like, I didn't realize, I only realized how bad it was when Avril Lavigne came out and said that she had Lyme disease, and then it was like, oh shit, ticks are for real, guys. It's always one of those things, like, it always takes, like, a celebrity or somebody that, like, especially when I was, like, a teenager and stuff like that, I thought Avril Lavigne was, like, the shit, you know? And so when I found out, like, oh, she's not been around because she has Lyme disease from, like, a tick bite, I was like, whoa, this is bad, guys. This is a huge problem. But yeah, it's interesting how that happens. Maybe the trenches tend to be a good way to get some. Yeah, probably. Oh, I remember when, like, because in grade 10 here, you need to, you have to take history, in secondary school, and that's usually always about the First and Second World War. So we always have to learn about that. And I remember watching, like, a documentary or something. I don't know. I feel like my history teacher, a lot of us was just watching, like, Band of Brothers and, like, random movies all the time that took place in the war. And, like, that's how we learned about it. Can't be sprays everywhere. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I would think so. But I just remember it was really gross. They were talking about how in the trenches or something like that, they had, I think it was like lice they had to deal with, and there were like lice outbreaks, and they showed something, I forget what it was, if they were using heat or doing something where they just like, I don't know, they were basically just describing like running something along, like, I don't know if it was a blanket or a mattress or whatever in the trenches, and like just squishing and killing like a bunch of lice, and I was like, bleh. Yeah, oh my god, we got checked for like, yeah, ticks and lice and trench foot. Yeah, I remember that. They used to come to schools, and they would do like the lice checks in schools. Liam has memories of it because obviously, like, being boys, well, I guess it doesn't really matter, but also too, this is back in the 90s, so hairstyles were a lot more gendered. When it was around that time, what they would do is they would just all get their head shaved. There were 4 boys. They said, you know, it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when, sort of thing. And so as a way to prevent that, they would just all get their head shaved to go to school. And even too, I remember my mother-in-law saying, like, they asked them, like, oh no, if you don't want that, like, we can take the lice comb and we can go through and all this kind of stuff. And they're like, yeah, buzz it off. So it was always, like, a thing where around, like, lice season in school, they would always have Legionnaire's disease. Oh, interesting. I've never heard of that one, because you all breathe the same non-refreshed air. Yeah. So what they do now is pair people up in 3s and split them all over the trench. That's probably good, I guess, as well, too, because, I don't know, this is me speculating, because technology has advanced in capacities, I'm sure you don't need the same concentration of troops in a trench, do you know what I mean? So you can probably be a bit more, try to make it as more sanitary as you can because of that. I don't know, though. You don't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have the firepower. Exactly, right? So, because of that, you then don't need the same level of concentration. So I'm sure that probably helps with a bit more, it probably helps in prevention of various disease and stuff outbreaks. If not eradicating them altogether, but obviously lessening the spread and making them less severe, I would assume. But yeah. Alright. I think... Yeah, I think actually with this last bit of blue thread, I think we can probably finish all of the blue on this page, which is kind of cool. Is there any blue on this guy? No, there isn't. Excellent. That's nice. So we're actually almost done, like, a color on the page, which is cool. That always just makes me feel a little bit more accomplished when I'm like, okay, we're done with this color on this page for right now. Not yet, but we will be. And that also helps, like, with making little goals for the project of, like, okay, if the plan for today is to get all of the blue stitches done, that would be awesome. But I think we can probably get the blue and the purple ones done. That would be the goal, and then we'd be much further along. We'll see. We'll see what happens. You can't eradicate. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You can't eradicate, but I'm sure you can make things a little more, sounds so dumb, a little more comfortable. Yeah. Grease is not looking. Yeah. I don't think any, at least now, I don't know if any European or like first world country is in the market for colonizing anymore or conquering. I'm not sure. So that makes sense. Except for maybe Russia, but you know, fuck Russia. All right. Yeah, it's not a cool kids club anymore. Yeah, it's not. No. No, I'm pretty sure. Exactly. Yeah. China's still conquering? Interesting. Yeah. I know they're like chummy with Russia, but I didn't know if they were still actively conquering. Though they are, at least, well, how many years ago was this? Ooh. This was, damn, I guess this was over 6 years ago. Because I moved here 6 years ago and I finished grad school. One of the projects I did was about censorship and like journalistic freedom in countries. And when I was doing that research 6 years ago, China actually had the highest concentration of imprisoned journalists than any other country. It's kind of like those Ba Sing Se memes, if anybody saw Avatar, where it's like, we do not speak ill of Ba Sing Se. I think it's still like that. So yeah, there's a high concentration of reporters and journalists and stuff like that being either being like, actually there's documentation of them being imprisoned, or they're just disappearing and people are not able to contact them. But yeah, there were specific, I know that it was really big too, again, at the point in time that I was looking into it, there was a few like South American continents as well that were also, I guess, any place where there is corruption on a government scale and there are whistleblowers that are trying to ethically and accurately report on a situation, that's where there seems to be a large concentration of journalistic persecution. Yeah, I mean that North Korea, though to be fair, they don't tend to be reporting. Yeah. Well, I don't think they can. The syntax on that was garbage too. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. My great aunt, actually, this was before, Currently it's Kim Jong-un, right? So Kim Jong-il was the previous one. Whichever one was the previous one before the most recent one. Then when that one was still alive, my great aunt in her 70s decided to travel into North Korea with a couple friends. Like, they made, I don't know why, for what reason, I think it was for, like, I don't know if it was for research, just for, like, morbid curiosity, I don't know, we thought she was nuts. But she decided to go into North Korea, and I remember her sending us, they were, like, propaganda postcards at one point, like, they were, I think she wrote after the fact or whatever, she was explaining to us, and basically what it was is I remember them saying how they basically had a minder the entire time they were there. So they had somebody follow them around and basically supervise them the entire time they were visiting. And I think there were specific things that they, like, weren't allowed to talk about. They weren't allowed to engage with, like, certain groups of people. They weren't allowed to say, do, whatever. But yeah, that was wild. But then they ended, like, I remember her getting back from North Korea. And then I don't know if it was, like, a few weeks or a month later, Kim Jong-il died. And I was like, I remember me and my mom sitting there being like, if he had passed away while she was still visiting in North Korea, they wouldn't have let her leave. They would have been like, there would have been speculating, but I'm like, there would have been a conspiracy that, the North American visitors killed Kim Jong-il or something like that. You know what I mean? And I was like, you are so lucky that you got out of there before this happened. Because I could just imagine, like, the chaos it would have caused if that would have happened. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely they were being followed. But it was just one of those, like, they were, yeah. You don't think so? Well, I'm glad. You obviously see, yeah, I was much more of a cynic in that situation. Of, like, you're right, they were being followed. I don't know to what extent, like, if they were not, when they were asleep, was somebody, like, did they lock their doors? Like, I don't know to what extent they were being supervised. But it was just wild to me. Like, we just thought, like, cool, I guess, some people are culture explorers and they want to go and experience all the world has to offer, even the parts that people are not the biggest fan of. And, kudos. But, yeah. Just wild. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna half stitch this because there's a few blue stitches over here, so I think I'm gonna go finish those, pop over here. Also, do you think that if there was a big tourist incentive to go to North Korea, like maybe America incentivized people to visit, that would help open up the country even a smidge? I guess so, but I don't think that's what they want. I don't think they want people to actively visit it there, because I think there is a big concern about, like, westernization in a way. And so I think if you all of a sudden flood a country that wants to be the antithesis to America, to then have a bunch of American tourists going in there with the potential to influence the views and the, like, world understanding, I think from their perspective that would be dangerous, and there would only be so many handlers you could have supervising all of them, you know what I mean? I think people would have realized, yeah, exactly, I think so. I think, to keep everyone in the dark in terms of, like, people being able to visit places, like, to have very tightly closed borders keeps people who might want like who might want to expose potential dangers and corruptions and negativity in that area. I think it's, against the interest of a corrupt nation to have open borders. Not that I know, like, this is all speculative. I'm not going around, like, whatever. I don't know enough about the ins and outs. These are just, like, very naive and ill-informed basic understanding of that. I hate audits. I wish for a cliff to throw my body over. That's so, yeah. This is no, don't opera. Come find some files for me, probably. Yeah. Honestly, though, it's such, I feel like audits, I've never personally, thank God, knock on wood, had to participate, but I was aware, or I was like, I worked in an organization that did get audited, like, annually, I think. And so I was aware of, like, we had to make sure all of our case files were up to date and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's all about the paperwork. And then obviously the managers and the higher ups were the ones that were compiling all of the information. But obviously, because you work in finance, I feel like the majority of the collation of paperwork would come down to you. And then it's making sure you have, the invoices from this date and time to this date and time, and making sure it's all in the right place and find it. I would assume, though, if you're the one who's in charge of record keeping, you probably have everything organized pretty well to be able to quickly find it. Also, I don't know what I'm doing. Fair. Fair. I guess it's similar to, like, when people do taxes. Like, every year I had to file my taxes in Canada, and I just used, like, TurboTax, and they would, like, walk me through it and be like, do this, and I would do that. But it's like, unless you have somebody who actually, like, step-by-step writing it out. Like, I'm just going for any of this. Yeah, that's true. That is true. You did. I remember you saying, like, where you started. I don't do taxes. I don't know what I'm doing that. Yeah. Half the time you pay someone to do it. Or you, like, go to a tax people or clinic or whatever. Why do they trust me? You just seem like the most responsible adult in the room. I don't know, man. To be fair, you do seem pretty responsible and resourceful to me, but I also care about you, so I would not put you through the bullshit of having to be in charge of an audit. I don't know if I would ever, in what world I would ever be able to dictate or delegate to you that responsibility, but if I was, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that to you. Oh, I'm doing exactly what I didn't want to be doing. I said I wanted to go over to the other side, and instead I started finishing the stitches. That's not what I wanted to do. But yeah, that's the nice thing about the UK, is unless you are self-employed or make over a certain amount of money, your taxes get automatically filed for you. You don't have to go in and, like, figure it out. You only have to do self-assessments in specific situations. It also works, too, for student loans, which is also awesome. Like, in Canada, you have to formally, like, pay back your loans every month. Like, if you take out student loans and stuff like that, you have to go through a specific company and, like, manually do this. I'm sure you could set up direct deposits and stuff like that. But basically, like, it's this thing. I think it's harder when the money goes into your account. Like, you get paid at your work and it goes into your account. And then, along with your rent, your phone, your internet, your hydro, whatever, your student loan also comes out every month. That is, it's a harder pill to swallow. Whereas here, the student loans just get deducted off of your pay slip like taxes would. So it's money that you don't even see. So it never goes into your bank account. It gets deposited before, like, your, what is it? I always get confused which one is net and which is gross. I think your gross earnings is before taxes and stuff. So obviously, like, you can see that number, you can go like, wow, this is all this money going to the tax man or whatever. But the net income that is put in your bank account has already taken out the monthly payback, whatever, for your loan. And I find that's a much easier, like, it doesn't sting as much, I think, when it's coming out that way, as opposed to you having to manually make it happen every month. But yeah, so everyone, like, there's little differences in the systems here that I find interesting. Ooh. 1 second. Okay, guys. Ooh, BRB. And we're back. So I took a parcel for our neighbor next door, and so he came by to collect it. And so I knew who, like, I knew what it was for instantly. But the thing is, Shadow needed to come investigate. Thank you. And then once, like, the neighbor left, but Shadow was still standing in the doorway, tail wagging. And I was like, dude, he's gone back into his house. Like, he's all gone. Like, come on, come back in. And he was like, but I wanted to say hi. And I'm like, dude, he's already gone now. So that's why it took a little bit longer, because I needed to coerce Shadow to come back into the house. Didn't I? I don't know if you can tell how obnoxious his eyebrows are. Hey, Shadow? Yeah, do you have really long, crazy eyebrows right now? Yeah? You're a bit blurry, because the camera is autofocused to other things. So he's like, bye guys. But yeah, he's got some wild brows right now. But yeah, you just want friends. You just want to be friends with everyone all the time. I keep meaning to, because I've not seen him in a while, because sometimes when I go for walks with Shadow, we'll run into, like, our usual mailman. And I just call him the mailman. I just call him, like, you know, Shadow's bestie, the mailman. And I'm like, I should actually ask this person what his name is. Yeah, not to alarm you, but there appears to be a hellhound in your room. Yeah, right? Truly. He's chill, though. Chillest hellhound you'll ever meet. Yeah. Laziest hellhound you'll ever meet. But yeah, it feels very, like, impersonal. So I actually would like to I would like to know the name of our mailman. So when I see him, I can be like, look, Shadow, it's so-and-so. Not like, yo, it's your bestie, the mailman, you know? Like, that feels very impersonal. But I've not run into him in a while. And the person I saw who was delivering mail today wasn't him. So I don't know if he's on holiday right now. But yeah. I just say everyone's your bestie now. Which feels, I don't know if that's cringy. I don't know. Sometimes we'll see people and I'll be like, oh my god, it's your friend, it's your bestie. Yes, my dog has many besties. He has dog besties and he has human besties and he's got family besties. I don't know what it was. It was well, it was packaged up, obviously. Because we used to take mail all the time for our old neighbors, and it was always, like, clothes and shoes and stuff, because it would say, like, on the bag, it would be, like, a Zara delivery, or, like, I don't know, like, certain deliveries that you knew there were, like, clothes in there, clothes and shoes and stuff. But this one was, like, a tube, and it was all packaged up. I didn't see where the return address was. I wasn't nosy enough. But I'm, like, I just get curious. I'm like, ooh, I wonder what mail you have. What parcel is this? Never enough to, like, do any snooping, but I'm like, I'm not a nosy neighbor, guys. I'm a considerate neighbor who takes my neighbor's mail. But sometimes you wonder. Especially because it was so the new neighbors, it's a woman, like and her 2 sons. So the one son is in college right now, and the other son just finished his GCSEs, so like just finished high school. So they're teen boys, they're male youths. I also think one of them plays the drums or they play the guitar, because sometimes I hear like noise and stuff. That's not what nosy neighbors say. Nosy neighbors don't say they're not nosy. Shh. But they seem chill right now. Like, I don't know, we've not had any issue with them. They seem very nice. They seem like very considerate neighbors. We'll see how I feel like there's always, I don't know, I feel like there's almost like a honeymoon phase with new neighbors, where like everything's all peachy keen, hunky dory, and then like something will happen that will determine whether or not you are friendly neighbors or are you just tolerate each other neighbors. I feel like that's what happened with our old neighbors. They were really chill and good, and then we're kind of like, okay, you guys are kind of taking the piss and pissing off everyone in the neighborhood, and then they did something that annoyed us, and we're like, okay, now. But these ones seem much nicer. Though I did wonder, and I don't know if this is me just like reading into stuff, but I did see at one point the boys, they had like a friend who came over, and the friend had like this zip pouch, and then they just like walked away. I was inside in the front garden. They walked away, and then they came back not too long after, and I'm like, they smoking the wacky backy down there? I'm like, they going to hang out down the road and do a little something something and then come back to their house? The only reason I think that is because this is not me like stereotyping. Maybe I am stereotyping. Am I one of those like grumpy? No judgment. No judgment. I'm like, as long as people do what they gotta do to function in society, I don't give a shit what you guys are doing. Because I think one time one of them had a friend over, and they were on the porch, and they were like giggling and stuff like that, and it did stink back there. Like, we had the door open, and I was like, something smells a little funky. So I have a working theory that we have first meetings is the Facebook presentation, subsequent meetings are the what they really share privately presentation. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so I have a working theory that the boys might be little recreational potheads, which again, I don't care. It's more funny to me. It's more amusing to me that I'm like, heh. Because we had like, I think the neighbors previously, they had kids, but they were younger. So they weren't of the grumpy teenaged angst demographic. And now we have that. And I'm just like, it's just interesting. Like, I just find teenagers and teenage culture interesting. And I'm kind of like, oh, like what is the same and what is different, you know, from my experience in terms of like, I don't know, because I do feel I'm aware that I am also very out of touch. They seem like nice people, followed by, oh good lord, they think ridiculous. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, we're gonna find out that we have like anti-vaxxers next door or some hippy dippy like bullshit. Yeah. I guess to be fair, like, unless you're inviting your neighbors over for dinner and you have that sort of relationship, you kind of only have a surface level understanding of each other. You only get to know so much, and I do feel like that's probably a good thing, because I do think, like you said, if there is that, like, people are decent and cordial on the surface, but yeah, if they have some, like, wild-ass beliefs, I almost don't want to know, you know what I mean? Because I do have to continue to live beside them, so I would like to not have that inappropriate conduct hanging over our interactions, unless they're being wildly offensive. Like, if they're, you know, attending, like, pro-life marches and shit like that, I'd be like, okay, listen, you're on my shit list now. But yeah, if we're just being, like, chill and, yeah, not worrying about those sorts of things, then it's fine. Babe, do you know our neighbor is the local representative for Brexit? Yeah, could you imagine? Blech. Blech. No. I guess in instances like that, though, like, I get the vibe, like, because, you know, like, and it sounds bad, because you do end up stereotyping, because I do find, like, certain types of political or, like, I don't know if it's not religious, but, like, certain types of affiliations, whether it be with a religion, with a political party, with whatever, sometimes there's, like, a specific look about them, like the way that people dress or the way that they conduct themselves and stuff like that, right? And so, but again, that's just, like, again, they're just stereotypes. I think people can, you know, look a certain way and have completely counterintuitive belief systems. Though I would think it would be very interesting to come across somebody who looks very, like, alternative in their dress, and then to find out that they're, like, hyper conservative. You know what I mean? Like, that just seems like an anomaly. I'm not saying that it can't happen. But based on my very uncool 31-year-old millennial perspective, at least if with the white hoods, yeah, definitely, obviously. But yeah, like, even if in situations like that where I find sometimes even if the parents aren't necessarily the most progressive individuals, you can sometimes see that the kids are all right. You know what I mean? Like, they've grown up and established their own more progressive or more liberal ideologies, sometimes even, like, more anarchistic ideologies compared to that of their parents sometimes. And so sometimes in situations like that, you're like, okay, this older generation, not too keen on you, but, like, your kids are legit, you know what I mean? But yeah, the only things I know about the neighbors is that the kids look like they're, you know what it is? They're kind of giving, like, 90s grunge vibes, in a way, which, you know, even if that's purely just for aesthetic reasons, that already leads me to believe that they are cool in their own way. And then the mom, she really likes plants and gardening and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm down with that. Is this all of them? Let's check. But yeah. Do you ever wonder, like, what... Because I think Liam and I were talking about this, that we're like, you know, I wonder what, like, our neighbors think of us. I'm sure they think that I'm very loud and obnoxious and am probably too obsessed with my dog. I'm trying. I don't know if I'm doing it very well. I'm sure Liam can say that I'm not. But I'm constantly told that I'm too loud. I project too much. But I feel like the reason I do it is because I feel like people can't hear me. Maybe because I don't think I can really hear myself. And maybe that means I need to get my ears checked. I don't know. So I find that I talk really loudly because I'm concerned that people can't hear me. Though never in my entire life, I think, has anybody told me that they cannot hear me. So I have no basis for why this is the case. I think it's probably because I'm a I was a musical theater kid. So I was taught projection at a young age, and now that just seems to be my default, is to constantly project. And so I am now consciously trying to not yell everything. Whether or not I'm being successful in that respect, I am not sure. But we'll see. I am trying to make a conscious effort to not be as loud. So I do wonder, because sometimes I'll go outside and I'll be playing with Shadow, and I'm like talking to him in my naturally loud default setting. And I'm sure the neighbors can hear. I think Liam said one time I was coming home from walking Shadow, and he could hear me before I came through the yard. Because usually you can hear the sound of the garage door opening to notice that somebody's home. And he's like, no, I had the window open in the house, and I could hear you talking to your parents walking down the alleyway. So I knew you were coming home before you even, like, opened the door. And I'm like, cool. So that means that probably all the houses on the block can hear me. Whoops. I think some of that is generational, or maybe it only works one way. Like, you have a higher false negative rate, older generation, properly dressed, no tats, no piercings, wildly progressive, but could have just easily been wild. Yeah, absolutely. I usually get told I'm too quiet. Oh, interesting. Actually, never mind. I'm just stereotyping the same way you'd stereotype a tattooed, pink-haired yeah. Definitely. Tell them you'd talk louder if they would just shut the fuck up about their own business. That's funny. Tell them you're too loud because I can hear your inner dog. You know, some people don't have an inner dialogue. I remember reading something about that, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. You mean that some people don't have a little voice in their head that's, like, constantly inner monologuing at them? What's in their head then? Just, like, nothingness? What's that like? What's that like to have just, like, a quiet head? You know what I mean? Like, that seems made up. I usually get interrupted mid-sentence too because they can't hear me. Really? Yeah, no, not. If anything, I get told off sometimes for interrupting because I'm one of those, like, obnoxious little squirrels when someone's telling a story and I have something to say as well, and I try to interject even though I shouldn't, and it seems like, you know, one of those things. That's something I was consciously trying to do before. I think, again, somebody can tell me I'm wrong. I like to think that I've gotten better at the interrupting part, because I'm trying to get out the thing that I can relate to your story with, which some people can find as rude and interruptive, so I try to not do that. But yes, the volume is still something that I'm working on. I have like 5 dialogues going on at once. It's very confusing. Yeah, it's like when you have, like, do you ever do this where you're having a conversation with somebody on 2 different platforms? So, like, I'll be having a conversation with somebody over Instagram direct message, and then I'll be having a WhatsApp conversation with them, and it'll be about 2 completely different topics, but it's with the same person. Stop trying to hold a conversation at a punk rock show. I used to go to a lot of punk rock shows. I'm too old now. Yeah. I'm a bit, well, I don't know if anybody's been to a concert, like, post-COVID, but I've just been seeing a lot of information. Like, I've recently watched a video about how people just, like, completely have no etiquette when it comes to going to concerts anymore. And people just are acting like absolute shenanigans. And people are, like, not respecting the fact that this is a shared communal experience, and maybe you shouldn't be acting so obnoxious in a public space. I've not been to a concert since. I'm going, well, hopefully, I'm supposed to be going to S Club, in October. And so I hope, but I'm at the point now, and I've never liked standing room only tickets. And I think now, especially as I'm seeing more people just, like, being shovey and being, like, you know, just, like, not respecting anyone's personal space. And, you know, also, too, when it's standing room, that everyone's on the same level. So if people are, like, really, you know, with their hands up or their phones up recording the whole thing and blocking your view and whatever. So I like seats in, like, tiered arenas, because then people aren't all up in your face, even if they are holding up their camera the whole time to record something. it's less likely to be in your viewpoint. But yeah, I don't know if anybody's been to any concerts post-COVID and what that's been like. But I've heard people have been, like, I've seen reports of people acting fools, and it makes me a little bit nervous about concert going. Not interrupting people, wildly horrible habit people have, or the mouth opening and then closing, inhaling to speak, and then slowly letting the air out as you see your window to talk and not interrupting dwindle away. Just chill and listen, then form a thought and talk. Yeah, that is one of those things where that does happen to me sometimes, where I have something to contribute to the current topic that's happening, but then the topic will change before I have a chance to say what I want to say about that, and then you just go, okay, I guess we're moving on now. I just won't. Unless you go circling back to that, but then that becomes like corporate talk. My mom interrupts all the time, not just because she's being rude, and I don't know why. Interesting. Yeah, I think, like, I've read up, and I don't know, like, I see this post always floating around, like, on the internet about how neurodivergent people do it. And I don't know if it's just neurodivergent people, but it's like people will tend to interrupt, but it's because they're trying to find a way to connect with you. So if you're telling a story and then they think of something that then helps them relate, and it's this thing where it makes them feel like they're connected to you in some way by also sharing something as well. I don't know, but last show I went to was the Glenn Miller Orchestra, and I was the youngest person there, so people were acting accordingly. LOL. That's nice. That's a good one. I appreciate that. I have to sometimes make a conscious effort to just not interrupt. Applies to work too. When working remotely, it just comes across like you're an asshole. I have a guy I work with that interrupts everyone mid-sentence. Really? Yeah. Oh, sometimes listening to the meetings that Liam's on when he's working from home, I feel like somebody should interrupt some of the people, because sometimes they'll just be like, I don't even know, like they just sort of are just stream of conscious word vomiting, and they're not actually forming complete sentences, and they're sort of like troubleshooting and working out something in real time and verbalizing their entire process. And you almost just want to be like, yo, stop talking until you come up with a complete sentence or like a complete coherent thought, and then say it. don't like, well, you know, and then maybe, and then, and it's like, no. Don't fill words. Don't just listen to the sound of your own voice. Sit there, think of what you want to say, and then say it. You have to stop myself from telling a relatable little nugget of info. Yeah. And I don't know, because I feel like sometimes people appreciate that. I guess, to be fair, it is waiting for somebody to... That's rich coming from a streamer. Touche. Yup. I will graciously accept that sick burn. Yup. Telling somebody to stop enjoying the sound of their own voice coming from somebody who clearly has to enjoy the sound of their own voice somewhat if they want to get into streaming. Yep, I will take that own. Sick burn sniping. I appreciate that. Keep me humble. Oh, that was so good. I did walk right into that one. I appreciate that. That was amazing. Oh, that was so good. I love that. That was a sick burn. Oh, so funny. All of these little blue bits are done. These blue bits are done. LOL, time and place, work, form thoughts, stream, form them out loud. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I guess that's the thing, right? Like, I think, yeah, certain professions warrant a speaking and articulating your process, but other jobs and professions do not. Maybe now, though, that's a nice reframing where it's, you know, maybe these people are just trying to do a bit You know, they're trying to entertain and engage the audience of coworkers in the middle of a meeting. So that is why they are articulating every single thought that comes into their head during the meeting. Maybe that's what it is. They're sort of doing their tight five, but it's not jokes. But you're putting up a front at work when streaming. You want to, yeah. What is it? There's a sense of authenticity that needs to happen when you're streaming in order to be deemed as relatable. Yeah. I think that's why I find this so much easier than... Like, because I also think, too, there's probably a specific level, like, there's a fine balance between being authentic and, like, oversharing, probably. Or being authentic and oversharing. I think power dynamic is totally different, too. Yeah. That's true, yeah. Because I think as well, yeah, there's a fine balance, but I also think, too, like, I don't know. I think that's the part of, like, corporate jobs or, like, more, you know, traditional job environments that I find it almost comes off as, like, disingenuous to me. Like, the facade. And I get there's, like, a level of professionalism, but I also feel like it shouldn't be a problem for me to be, like, yo, I'm not operating on 100% capacity today because I'm having a really bad mental health day, or, you know, like, it's my period this week, so my hormones are all over the place, like, excuse me if I have, like, you know, brain fog or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, I don't know, and I don't know, I like to think, or I hope in certain environments and stuff like that, that's changing, so you do have the capacity to be like, listen, I'm not a robot, I have emotions and physical, mental feelings that impact my ability to do my job every day, and that's not to say that I am incapable of doing my job, it's just that everyone has ebbs and flows in productivity, and I think we are lying to ourselves if we pretend that that doesn't exist, you know what I mean? And I guess, like, you know, some people don't want to hear it, like, they're not interested in that, it's they just want you to do your job, perform, and get out of there. But then also, too, then it becomes this weird, like, conversation, or the thing that always bothered me about, like, office small talk, right, is the concept of, like, oh, are you, like, how's it going, right? And then if you're not doing well, you're not supposed to say, oh, I'm having a shitty day today. I think depending on the coworker, you can, but it's almost like people ask that just to be cordial without actually caring about what the answer is. And I find that really fake, and I find that really difficult to navigate. Like, it's almost like this thing where I'm like, if you're just being nice, don't ask me a question. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, if you just want to, like, have a chit chat, just be like, oh, hey, the weather's really, like, temperamental today, or whatever, right? Like, don't ask me how I'm doing, because then if I say to you how I am actually feeling, what are you going to do with that information? Like, I don't know, sucks to suck, okay, bye. Like, and to be fair, they could, but I do find that some people are very taken aback when you actually answer the question, how are you, honestly? And they're kind of like, oh, I was just, like, making small chit chat. And then I'm like, okay, then don't. Do you know what I mean? Like, I struggle with that. I struggle with the inauthenticity of that. I just tell them I'm feeling shit and they leave me alone. That's good, though. And I think that's okay. I think that's good if people are like, oh, like, in a good way. I think, though, some people are kind of like, it's almost like, and I don't think it's intentional sometimes. I think maybe sometimes it is, but I do feel like it's, like, you feel bad by being honest with somebody, because then it sometimes makes them feel bad. They're like, oh, now I feel uncomfortable because you've stated to me that you don't feel well, and now it's making, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's this thing where it's like, oh, well, now you've made your bad mood my problem. And it's like, well, no, I didn't. You're the one who asked the question. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I think that's just one of those, like, it's all facades and people are just trying to be courteous but have no real empathy behind the question. Exactly. And I just think that there needs to be either more openness to be honest when that question is asked, or if you're just trying to have like office water cooler chit chat time, talk about something different. Ask a different question. Like, you can say, instead of how are you doing, you can be like, oh, what did you get up to this weekend? Or like, what did you get up to last night? Like, ask questions that are not feelings based. So then, like, yeah, if somebody goes to me, oh, what did you do this weekend? I can like list off activities that I did, and whether or not I enjoyed them or didn't enjoy them, that's not part of the conversation. That's just like, oh, this is what I did. What did you do this weekend? This is what I did. Okay, cool. Water cooler chat done, you know? But it's a little different here because this place is run by an actual family, but I also think they drop me like a bad habit whenever they need to. Yeah. Yeah, and that's yeah, I guess it's, to be fair, do you find though, because it's run by an actual family, do you find that they actually mean when they ask that question? Or is it they mean when they ask that question to their family, but not maybe to you specifically? Or maybe they do. Because I think that would be a benefit to like a family run business, is if they genuinely, like, there seems to be a thing that they mean it. And that's really good, because I think that is potentially the benefit to smaller like ma and pa shops or like family run businesses and things like that. I think sometimes, you know, there can be mismanagement, but there can be mismanagement on corporate levels as well. You know what I mean? But I do find like as things become more corporate, they seem to become less human. And I get why, because it can, you know, as companies get really big, it can be kind of hard to do that. But in the same way, I think it is down to individual employees to not lose their humanity as their corporation becomes less human, you know? I don't know. How am I doing? I have so much debt. I can't see the end of the tunnel. I threw up 3 times before coming into work because of crippling anxiety. I don't know how I'm going to afford baby food this month. But I found a cool notepad in this $1 bin, so it's a wash. How about you? Sniping, are you me? I looked in your diary, my bad. Yeah, one family member does nothing and makes so much more than me. Irks me to my core. Yeah. That's one of those things, right? Where it can be like, okay, cool, it's a family-run business, but then sometimes family will be like, well, I'll just employ you so we can say you're employed, and then, but we're not actually expecting anything from you. Which honestly, like, I would love. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, you're gonna pay me and I get to do fuck all, that's great. But then, yeah, for the employer or the employee who actually has to break their back and do everything and not get that benefit, that's really shitty. It was open. Yeah, he complains if we ask him to do something. He literally puts in the checks that come in the mail, like all 10 of them. What a hard job, eh? What a hard life. He asked me earlier if I had a chance to set up some online account. I stared with my audit eyes. Yeah, definitely. You're like, I'm sorry, I am in the flaming depths of audit hell right now. No. I'm like, please call back and try your request later. It will again be denied, but you can try your luck afterwards. And he wants me to find corporate help. You're like, listen, no. And yeah. Yeah. Okay, fine, I accept that automat. Dad, that's fine. We understand. We understand why. Like, you got nothing to do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think people that are so accustomed to not having to do anything, when suddenly faced with the fact that they have to do a task, they're just kind of like, but what? And then you're kind of like, okay, do you have no problem-solving abilities? That's something I always find very interesting. And I don't know if people have like a lot of anxieties about certain things, but I always find it really interesting when you like give a person a task and it's like, it seems like not a big deal to you. You're like, oh yeah, you just like search this thing. And then all of a sudden you watch people in real time like almost have a breakdown because they're like, what do you mean I have to search this thing? And you're like, do you not know how to Google? Is that not like, and then you just realize that some people just completely lack basic, almost like life skills at certain points. And then you don't know, like, okay, is it that you, and then some other times too, there are people who just seem to have an inability to want to learn. Because it's like, well, if I learn how to do these tasks, then that means somebody will put an expectation on me and I will be asked to do this all the time. And I don't want that for myself. So I'm just going to feign ignorance and never learn it and be like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. Somebody help me. I'm freaking out. And then you go, okay, I'm going to teach you how. And they go, well, I just can't. Can you just do it? And then like whatever. And they never attempt to learn. And I think it's a way to never be shouldered with any responsibility to do that task in the future. Which is a interesting tactic. Because I always think, like, in those situations, like, I would rather learn how to do something because in the event that I am by myself and the people that usually figure these things out for me are unavailable, I would want to make sure that I'm not completely fucked. You know what I mean? But I think some people just don't think that way. Ted, I'm sorry for leaving that. We were baking a pie. Actually? What pie are you baking? Are you making more mince pies? Because that pie you made that we saw, that you posted on the Discord, looked delish. Looked yum. Don't worry, never apologize for having to jet off to do the things. Especially if the things are making tasty things. Don't need to apologize for that. Ooh. Oh, we're talking weapon. Yeah. Oh, hey, we're talking weaponized incompetence. That is what? Absolutely. That is exactly what that is. What an incredible statement. Yes, weaponized incompetence. I am noting that term and using that. In fact, I am actually going to message my mom about that term because we think about that as well. Yes, we will appreciate that word. I'm actually going to, okay, hang on. Let me write that down so I don't forget. Weaponized incompetence. 100%. Spinach leek feta pie. Shut up. That sounds so good. That sounds so good. The last one was mincemeat with cow's milk pie. Yes, the mincemeat was really good. Cow's cheese, not milk. Yeah. Yeah, I will take some pie. Yeah, sign me up. Feta, oh, see... Anytime you put feta cheese on something, I'm there. I think any food with that includes feta, like, sign me up. Sign me up. You're now gonna make me hungry though. Competence. I just spelled incompetence. That's not what I meant to say. Incompetence. Wow, now this decided it was going to be one word. Stop! Notes app. Do you ever find sometimes that, like, you just can't type? This happens to me more and more. Incompetence. There we go. There we go. Anyway, back to the food. I can also post the meat with cabbage. Ooh, that sounds nice. Yes, always. But then you might make me hungry. I do have my emergency granola bar on hand for this exact reason. It makes me hungry. And also too, you're actually hurting my heart extra, Probacus, because I found out today when I went to go make myself microwave nachos for lunch that I don't have any more cheese in the house. The only thing I have is squeezed cheese, which is fine. But yeah, I didn't realize, and I just did a food order. So the fact that there's currently no cheese in the house is actually a big problem for me. I'm very concerned. So I will need to, actually tomorrow when I leave the house to go drop Shadow off at the groomer, I will also be making emergency grocery store shop for some cheese. Necessary. We need some cheese in the house. Remind me of having a breakfast yet. Go eat some breakfast, Kay. Go eat some breakfast. Let's look at this gorgeousness. Okay. Boom. So what is this? This is the cabbage. This is the meat with cabbage. On it. Yes. Go eat breakfast. There we go. That's the meat. And then this is like the cabbage salad situation. It looks really good. It looks really nice. See, now I want cabbage rolls. I need to get a Ukrainian food hookup in the UK. I've already decided, like, I don't think I'm gonna get, right, meat with cabbage in the dish, and then that's the salad. That looks really nice. But yeah, so basically though I did find pierogies. Oh, is it a Greek salad? There's feta in there too, probably. Love it. But yeah, I like that. That looks really good. Now I'm hungry. Obviously I'm aware that I'm not gonna be able to find gluten-free pierogies here unless, I don't know, maybe I can, but not in the grocery store, because pierogies have basically been co-opted in Canada to be like a Canadian dish because there's such a big population of Ukrainian immigrants that moved to Canada to farm Alberta and Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Oh, believe me, it was. Yeah, it looks amazing. And so you can like get pierogies, like frozen pierogies, readily available at the grocery store. And then because there's such a big thing in Canada, the gluten-free bakeries got really good at making gluten-free pierogies, and I absolutely love them. But yeah, can't find them here. Did find regular pierogies here, but obviously that doesn't help me because I myself cannot eat them. But the other thing that's really nice is a cabbage roll, but those are a lot of work to make. My grandma told me that you can do sort of like slow cooker deconstructed cabbage roll, where instead of, basically a cabbage roll is like rice and meat and spices, and then you stick it in a cabbage leaf and you roll it up into a roll, and then you cook them. And usually you put like a tomato sauce or something on them, and they're really nice. But yeah, they're like, a lot of that food takes like a lot of prep work. Like you got to do a lot to make them. So obviously in this day and age of buying frozen and stuff like that, we would just get them and then pop them in the oven and make them like that. So I've never actually had to physically make a pierogi or a cabbage roll. So, but I feel like I need to. I've made borscht. I've made slow cooker borscht. That's really nice. That's a beet stew. I think there's cabbage in that one as well. That's really nice. Beets are messy to prep, but once you get those going, they're all right. But yeah, now I'm craving, which seems like a random craving, to be like, I'm craving cabbage related items. Feels like a very random craving to have, but it's all thanks to you, Probacus, so thanks for that. I really think I need to expand our tastes. Yeah. Well, I feel like you're expanding my tastes. I feel like you are introducing me to different kinds of foods and stuff. But yeah. Borscht. Yeah, borscht is awesome. I was not a fan of it when I was younger. I think, again, because it was very veggie heavy, but now I'm like, love that, you know? Love a good borscht. Yeah, now I just want Ukrainian food, guys. I need to find one. I need to do some. I need a gluten-free Ukrainian hookup in the UK because I don't have one right now. It's not okay. It's lunchtime. I don't want to get up, but I'm nauseous. I need to eat. Yeah. Can you? Oh, is it health break time?
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the Probacus once a stream health check. Thank you for that. I've only tried it a few years ago when I was looking for the beet recipes. Oh, cool. Maybe, I was gonna say, it would be nice if, yeah. Yes, please go grab something. Excellent. Good for you, Kat. Good for pushing through and going and doing that. We're gonna stretch. We're going to check the posture. The posture is not good. I'm actually a bit warm right now. I might take this sweater off. Because I was really cold. I'm having a really hard time regulating my internal body temperature right now. I think it's, again, hormonally is part of the reason. But the other reason is because the freaking weather won't figure out what it wants to be. So in 1 minute, it'll be like cold and rainy and not nice. And then the sun will come out and it'll be like blistering hot. And I'm like, make up your mind. It's being temperamental and that's making me temperamental. But yeah. It's not fun. It's actually wild how cold it's getting in the overnight. So we usually have like a big fluffy duvet, and then when it gets really hot to the summertime, we switch it over to a quilt. And the quilt is a bit thinner, so it's a bit cooler. And it was really great when it was super hot out not too long ago when my parents were still here. And then they went home and they seem to have taken the sun with them. I say that it's sunny out, but they've taken the warmth with them, which isn't the worst thing. But then now at night, it's getting down to like 15, 14 degrees and I'm freezing. Like I woke up one time at night and because Liam is like basically a furnace, I noticed I was like squished up against his body like a little furnace trying to keep myself warm. So last night I had like full long pajamas on. I had socks on, so I slept really well. But I'm like, it's like, what, July? And I'm like fully like winter pajama mode right now in an attempt to like not freeze overnight. But obviously, I'm sure as soon as we decide to flip back to the futon, like the big duvet cover, I'll be too hot. So I'd rather like bundle up under the quilt than have to switch that over and then worry about that. But it's just really annoying. You know, like, you know when you just are in a mood and just every little thing that just inconveniences you just like grumps you out? That's kind of what's happening. Is health are important? Also, that's, yeah. Exactly. Oh, right. We forgot. What else did we do? We didn't drink the tea. I don't know if I did. We'll drink the tea. Let's work on the posture. Let's try to have better posture. I think the problem is that I need to, like, in order to have good posture, I have to have, like, flat feet on the ground, isn't it? You have to sort of, but this, I don't know. Anyway, yes. Posture, check. No, it is. I'm aware. Everyone, yeah, everyone stretch. Everyone check your posture. Everyone get some hydration on Probacus's orders. Hello, Shadow. Also, I do think it is snack time. So you all need to be healthy. I want to be seeing you around for a good while. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Alright, so we just have a little bit more here, and then we're officially done the blue section of this page. Though I do think that, I don't know, will there be enough thread, or will we have to start a new one? I'm hoping that we will win this round of floss chicken, but we will find out. We shall see. Do, 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 do. Have a floof. There we go. Get out of there. Get out of there. Alright, I think I do need a snack. Nature Valley, sponsor me. Like, General Mills is fine. General Mills does not need my... Though, if they're fine, that means they have money to burn, so they should sponsor me. I love that. A very specific one. Not the brand, the very specific flavor of the brand. Cereal blueberry sausage and meds. Excellent. Excellent job. Yeah, everyone remember to take your meds. Like, that is important. Apples and cheese, yay! I'm glad everyone has got their food. I also have my snack. We are doing okay. Very Mediterranean of you. Only thing missing is grapes, yeah. Apparently, yeah, everyone keeps... Yeah, how do you feel, Probacus, about the world declaring that the Mediterranean diet is, like, the best diet for everyone to be on? Are you your team Mediterranean diet propaganda? You're like, yes, we are superior in our diet. Thank you very much. Cool, go economy. Yeah. Yes, the Mediterranean diet has been, though I don't know necessarily if, like, for me to engage in the Mediterranean diet necessarily is that the food is going to be coming from Greece. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know how much your economy is benefiting from it. Maybe your tourism is because people want to travel to Greece to engage in the Mediterranean diet straight from the source. But, like, for instance, to make myself a Greek salad, there's no guarantee that the ingredients that I go and get at the grocery store are going to have been imported from Greece. Do you know what I mean? Mediterranean diet is expensive, yeah. I guess if you're getting, you know, because wasn't it you were saying last time where you know, if we're getting, like, the best of the cheeses and stuff like that, I could see it being expensive. You can all come live here and work from home. Wouldn't that be the dream, right? Wouldn't that be the dream? Though, actually, saying that, it sounds like it gets way too hot where you live. That's my only problem, is that I would be a little puddle of Canadianness. Wasn't it like 42 degrees Celsius there last month? No. None of that, please. None of that, please. I can do with everything else. I can do with the Mediterranean diet. I can do with, you know, but that heat though. You guys, do you have an infrastructure for air conditioning? Because that's the thing that I find, like, Europe isn't used to having really extreme temperatures, or if they are, they don't necessarily have the infrastructure for air conditioning everywhere. You do. Oh, excellent. You would live in the islands. That's fair. I could do that. I could be Mediterranean island chick. I could see that. I don't mind. Maybe a bit of commute for my regular pet sitting clients, though. A little bit. Yeah, a little bit, Kay. You'd have to, like, get a private plane to jet back for pet sitting. Work from home since 2012. That's nice. That's the dream, Snipin'. Truly, that is the dream. Maybe not for everybody, but that is, in my world, that is the dream. You would leave, yeah, you would live in islands. We do. The best place on earth. Trikala. Okay. Let's Google Trikala. Is it? Yeah. Trikala, not Trikata. Meteora is the world you want. Okay. Well, we're just going to Google all the things. Trikala, a city in Greece. In the northwestern Thessaly, Greece, it is the capital of the Trikala regional unit. Straddles the Lithanos River. Interesting. Well, it looks very pretty. It looks very pretty, but I'm sure every single Google image of Greece would look very pretty. You know? That's very pretty, whatever that is. Yeah, that looks pretty. Yeah, you guys, there's a waterfall. If there's a waterfall, then that is awesome. Waterfalls are cool, man. Though, see, I don't know. Though, is this a monastery? Are we all gonna live in the monastery? I don't know if that's a good idea. See, I don't know how I feel about the heights of this. This feels a little scary to me. Yeah. This is little bit scary situation for me. I don't know how I feel about it. Really? Yeah, I don't do heights, yeah. Trikala is the place for you, cheap, mountainous, and by the river. And no big times. Yeah, see, I like that. I like rivers, I like mountains, I like forests, you know. We gotta have trees. We gotta have trees because where there's trees, there should be mushrooms, and that's what we're all about. That's terrible. Your cousin's husband left her because she's sick. Some people just, like, I don't know, like, I'm sorry. Don't you take wedding vows that literally say in sickness and in health? Like, you took fucking vows about it. You know what I mean? I'm like, if you can't handle that shit, don't get married to this person. Like, no, I don't like that. That's really shitty. Yeah. And no mosquitoes. That's nice. I like no mosquitoes. That's so frustrating. It is a stereotype, yeah. That just makes me wonder, like, what people's, like, I don't know, like, the reason people get in, like, I don't know, like, what sort of values or what sort of things attract you or want to keep you to a person, you know what I mean? Like, if you're, and I get there's, like, a, you know, you want to be able to be, like, physically attracted to your partner or whatever, but I feel like, I don't know, like, it really makes me sad to think that if you think that your partner is this thing and then they get sick and they are no longer that thing, does that mean that they're, like, you know what I mean? Like, it just, ugh. So where do you want to bury the body? Yeah, Kay is like, listen. They told my mom her husband would probably leave her when she was diagnosed with cancer, and she said, well, it's too late, he's already gone. Yeah. That's really sad. No. Yeah, exactly. Like, I couldn't imagine that sort of scenario where, yeah, like, where I would even contemplate that. You know what I mean? Like, no. Some people just obviously don't take their vows seriously, and that's real fucked up. Did he do the milk strategy? Pro Bacchus, throwback to the beginning. Yeah. I think we will need another thread, which is fine. No clue yet. It's all very hush-hush. Wow. Oh, so you just found out that this has happened. That's really... Ugh. I hope they have other people in their life to support them through their sickness. Because that's like, obviously, having the person that's meant to be with you and the love of your life, having them leave. But then it's also like, okay, well, who else is there to support you through this? Her mom will help. That's good. That's good. That's, yeah, it almost seems like, I don't know, it seems cowardly to sort of jump ship in that instance. The only thing I could think of is like, I don't know, is it already, if the relationship was already on shaky ground before this person got sick. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I just, ugh. People suck. They got married a few months before me too. That is really sad. Yeah. Unless you're very, very young. Right, yeah. Yeah, I get what you mean, where sometimes people just enter into a relationship and then a big, like, thing happens, and it's like, you're not emotionally invested enough. Like, if it's a new relationship, I can see how that could be a thing. But yeah, if you're, like, again, yeah, you're married, you've taken the in sickness and in health vows. Oh, speaking of, ugh, because, you know, I don't know if you guys follow YouTube culture and stuff like that. But obviously, there was a YouTube creator named Hank Green who got diagnosed with cancer. And then this past week, Grace Helbig, who's one of the people that I listen to on their podcast, This Might Get Weird, she got diagnosed with breast cancer recently. Apparently it's a very treatable version and stuff like that, but it's just like, damn. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Hank, and yeah, the fact that it was like, damn, I guess they, luckily in a way they've been talking, and I think because Hank has been very vocal about his cancer journey, I was listening to their This Might Get Weird podcast today, and Grace was talking about how it is helpful for her to have another person in this business be so open and sort of explain and like demystify the process, because now that she's going through that process, it's actually very helpful for her that this person has something. Also, oh yeah, Ursula Vernon. Why does that name sound familiar? I don't know if I know who that is. Let me Google that. But I remember I was talking with Liam about this because he said that it's something as nuts as like 1 in 3 or something like that. Ursula Vernon, American freelance writer. Wow. 46. Okay, Nettle and Bones. I don't know if I've read any of these books, but they look like, wow. Can we talk about happy things? Trust her. Yeah. Hey man, sometimes we're in our feels and that's okay. We don't need to Sometimes. She started in webcomics, now does fantasy horror. That's really cool. To pivot, I guess, speaking of webcomics and stuff like that, have you recently, the most recent movie I've watched, has anybody watched the film Nimona that's based on a graphic novel of the same name? It's on Netflix. Very good. Do recommend. I also like that Eugene Lee Yang, who's one of the Try Guys, is voicing one of the characters, and it's just cool to see when your favorite like internet creators are thriving outside of the internet creation space. I think it's always really cool when you see that. But yes, very good. You cried. Yeah, there were some really touching moments in there. It was really good. I googled Nimona and all I got was pneumonia. No, it's Nimona. It's not with a P. It's not like pneumonia. No, it's Nimona. Nimona. But yeah. Chloe Grace Moritz is also one of the voice actors, which is really cool. She's also the author who got an award for her award acceptance speech that was literally just describing whale fall. I don't know what that is. Oh, is this the one, the Ursula you're talking about? I don't think I know what that means. Whale fall. Let me Google that too. Yeah, still Ursula, yeah. What is this? Whale fall. Oh, wow. And the carcass of whales have fallen into the ocean at a depth greater than 1,000 meters in the bathyal or abysmal zones. On the seafloor, they can create complex, localized ecosystems that supply sustenance to deep-sea organisms for decades. Interesting. Huh. Deep-sea whales. Wow. Yeah. I looked up to my cousin to see how she was doing, and she looks like my twin. Really? That's an interesting, it'd be interesting to know what that acceptance speech was like. Like if they, because I was just reading, what I briefly read about it was like how it becomes like an ecosystem for like a bunch of organisms and stuff like that. Huh. Oh my god, I love that. Her award speeches are just like excuses to share weird biology facts. That's fun. That's fun. I love that. Every acceptance speech, let me just make it an allegory for this like random cool fact I want to share with you. That's clever. I like that. That's really cool. I think that's fun. That's a fun way to do it. I love weird biology facts. Yeah. I just like weird random facts in general. Anytime someone's like, by the way, this, I'm like, cool. Yeah, love a good... These apples are almost wine. Really? Is it like, 'cause they're really sort of, they're just very, very ripe? Or is it a specific type of apple that makes it taste more wine-like? I can taste the alcohol and the sugar. Ooh. Hey man, you're kind of like low-key having a wine and cheese party at work, and honestly, like, cool. Why not? Why not? I'm gonna blame the spidey senses, like, yeah. I hope so. I think so. Hopefully that's not making your nausea worse, though. We don't want that. We don't want the spidey senses to, like, again, trigger the nausea. Because I feel like that's a thing. When you have, like, a more hypersensitive smell, you have a more hypersensitive things that might turn your stomach. You know what I mean? The other day, I could smell a dish from the sink and... Really? Wow. Hormonal spidey senses are wild. I always remember when one of the first jobs I had, I was obsessed with, to be fair, I still am. I really like chai tea. So I remember getting a chai tea from Tim Hortons before I went to work. So I worked at the mall, and my manager at the time was pregnant. And she was like, get that away from me. The smell was just turning her stomach. And I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Let me drink my tea over here. Chris couldn't smell it until his face was literally in the sink. Ooh, I want some chai tea. Yeah, do it. I actually don't have any chai tea on rotation right now. I feel like it would be really nice with these colder days. I have a link to the Whitefall speech transcript if anyone's interested. Yeah, stick it in Discord. Yeah, stick it in Discord, or even like stick it in the chat if you want. You can do a little linky link. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know where. You can stick it in general. Yeah, burns are normal. So fantasy unexpected. Yeah. Cool. I will pull that up and read that later. Because that sounds interesting to me. I love the illustration on there too. That's so funny. The BNN Sci-Fi and Fantasy blog presents it now as an original piece of flash fiction, though the phenomenon it describes is entirely real. You can also download this story for free to read on your Nook app. That's so interesting. Just the first little bit I scanned over. I love that. They're like, yeah. That's, you know what that feels to me? Like, that is such an artistic thing. Like, to be like, oh, I'm gonna take something like accepting a speech and the medium of speech telling, I'm now going to evolve into like a flash story time. Just as an excuse to like create and weave another story. As I'm winning an award for another story I wrote. That's like some like that's like some like, what is it? I can't remember. What's the term I'm looking for? That's like some Inception shit, you know? This is beautiful. Yeah, exactly. I'm already enjoyed. Yeah, that's probably the word I'm looking for. Some meta stuff. Yes. Yup. That's the word. Not the Zuckerberg bastardization, but the actual meaning. Last few blue stitches, and then we are done all the blue for the page, which is awesome. Ugh, Zuck, yeah. Apparently him and Elon are supposed to fight each other. Is that a confirmed thing, or is that not actually happening anymore? Was that just like Elon being a baby on Twitter and like posting random shit, or is this actually gonna happen? Yeah, it's amazing and groundbreaking, but also just really wants to talk about the random weird facts. Yeah, it's true, and I love that. Any chance you get. Heard that one of their moms said, yeah, that's what I heard. I heard that it was gonna happen, and then Elon's mom said no. Which is also hilarious. But yeah, I don't know why. Like, when did this happen that now all of the beefs in the world are suddenly, or like, I don't know why everyone suddenly got like, I don't know. Like, everyone just started challenging each other to fights now. Like, I think it probably started with, like, the Paul brothers and stuff, and they were like, we're gonna fight KSI, and we're gonna fight, like, and they started this, and then this, like, now creator clash is happening, and just the concept of, like, bringing beefs into like boxing arenas and stuff like that people who are not trained fighters, I know eventually they train to fight, but I just don't understand where this phenomenon came from. Like, I would enjoy much more if people had beefs with each other and they started making diss tracks. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I would much it would bring me more joy. It would be cringy as hell, but I would much prefer if Elon and Zuckerberg were gonna fight, they fought on the mics, you know? No throwing punches. I want them throwing rhymes at each other. That's how we should be settling things. But yeah, I don't know why or how. I can't stand those stupid brothers. Yeah. When I first moved here, I don't know what it was. I went down some weird ass rabbit hole, and sometimes it became like this weird obsession. And I don't think it was a hate watch per se. It was just more like a sociological, like weird hyper-focused deep dive into Tana Mojo and Jake Paul's relationship and what happened with that up into the point where they got like married or whatever. But yeah, for some reason I became like low-key hyper-fixated on that whole situation, having never watched or consumed anything about them before in my life. I think probably what started is because I was going down like a Disney Stars Where Are They Now rabbit hole, and then stumbled upon Bella Thorne, which then had me stumble upon Tana Mojo, which then had me stumble upon that whole situation that was happening during that time. And I look back on it and I'm like, why? I just had this like morbid curiosity about it. It was very interesting. It was a very interesting point in my life where I was like weirdly invested. I guess this is why it was probably the same way that people get really invested in like Jersey Shore and like Love is Blind and like those sorts of things. I feel like that was the closest I got to having that sort of like reality TV experience, was watching that bullshit unfold. You know what I mean? Because I'm not somebody who consumes, I guess, reality TV like in those sorts of capacities. The only thing I will is when my mom comes over and we watch Say Yes to the Dress all the time. That seems to be the closest to like reality TV that I seem to get to. But yeah, I never watched like Jersey Shore and The Hills and Laguna Beach and stuff like that. No shade to people that do. Like it's just not something that I consume. And there's lots here. There's tons of reality shows on here, and there's a lot of the dating shows and stuff like that. Not something I'm particular. I guess because I don't know. I feel like I'm such a conflict avoidant person. I have, anxiety around conflict, and I find the more I've insulated myself in this bubble of like conflict-free zone, any sort of like a unnecessary or very gratuitous drama makes me uncomfortable. And obviously the way that those shows work exactly is it's all conflict all the time. And so the uncomfortable, secondhand embarrassment that I would feel watching those, I'm like, I don't want to be stressed and anxious when I watch TV. That's not what I choose to watch. Like, that's not how I consume media. But yeah, for some reason, the Jake Paul Tana Mojo thing, that was like the closest I got to that sort of experience. But yeah. Not that I have any idea what's going on. Every once in a while I'll check and I'm like, what sort of crazy shit are they up to? Not Jake Paul, more just Tana. Because I'm like, she's always doing some crazy shit. And I'm like, okay. But everyone seems to be thriving. Doing their, I don't know. Everyone's like coming out with like strains of weed and posting like very posy bikini shots. And I'm like, cool, stay in your lane. Oh, Lurk, yes, I'm allergic to drama. Yeah, truly, actually. Gives me a rash. Gives me an anxious rash. Alright, all the blue on the page is done. We have, like a half hour left. I don't know if we'll get all of the purple done, but if we can, basically from here up is a lot of purple. And then once that is done, I believe that is all the purple on the page, which is awesome. So yeah, we are slowly trucking along. This feels like there's this whole side, but like we're sort of going through the center and then the right side of the project. So Even the silliest courtroom scenes set off my anxiety. Like, whoa, really? Yeah. I skipped the episode of GBBO where the lady pulls that guy's frozen thing out of the freezer. I can't even watch it. Oh, there was drama on GBBO? Wow, isn't that supposed to be like the most wholesome reality TV show ever? Scandalous. That's unfortunate. Since when? Bingate. Oh, wow. I think he quit or something after that. Then she left. Wow. Oh, wow. It has a name. Was this drama between the two contestants, or was this between like a judge and a contestant, or like a host and a contestant? Wow. Drama. I was thinking, because I think I watched something with Paul Hollywood and Prue on YouTube, and it sounds like they're doing... She didn't do it on purpose, right, but because it happened, it then caused all of this chaos and commotion. That's, ooh. But she was defensive, so I don't know, right? I guess because sometimes when you mess up, you don't want to be caught sort of in that way, so you almost double down even though you might not have actually meant it, just more to protect your ego or something. I don't know. But yeah, are they making an American one and Prue and Paul Hollywood are also going to be hosting it? Because if so, I'm a bit concerned about, because I feel like usually when they remake it for American audiences, they dial up the drama. Like, I don't know if they're still going to be able to keep it wholesome for American television. Oh, Shadow's dreaming. Makes me so, like, you know when dogs do their little, like, whimper in their sleep? Makes my heart melt. Okay, a woman probably accidentally left another guy's stuff out of the freezer so it melted, and then he had a meltdown and threw it in the bin instead of trying to salvage anything. Wow. Right, so they took it out and then didn't think to put it back in or whatever. And then, oof. Yeah, that's rough. To be fair, I guess, yeah, if that's your whole, like, cake or whatever, like whole whatever it was, that would be pretty upsetting, especially if you sort of put it in there because it's a time crunch and you know that this is what's supposed to happen. There's been American Make Off Holiday Special. Oh, how are they? That's interesting. That's cool though. Like, that's because I do feel like it is quite big. Like, I think it's quite big kind of internationally. So I think it's a good thing that they've been doing that. But I didn't realize that was something they were already doing as sort of like one-offs. Maybe they started doing that just to see how it was going to play out over there. And now that they're like, oh, these are actually successful, then they're going to like maybe do a whole series. That would make sense to me. I just want them to stay wholesome. I hate how they do shows over here. Yeah, like they get real competitive and get real sort of like aggro about it. They're probably higher energy than the British one, but still very friendly. That's good. That's good. So they're still trying to maintain the ethos of the show. But yeah, just naturally, I think, I don't know, like are people, I don't know. I would assume that the competitors know what the vibes are, like, of the British version when they sign on to do the American one. Maybe not, though. Maybe it's just like, oh, we're doing a cooking show, and people will just sign up without sort of knowing, like, this is the Great British Bake Off American style, so, like, be chill, you know? Yeah, I think that they get... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they must understand that. So they're gonna not dial it up to the same intensity that most American competition shows are at, but obviously, like, naturally... Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say, like, Americans are more competitive. I don't know if that's true. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Just trying to make sure, because I moved this. Okay, this will be fine if it's cinched in here. Okay. Cool. That's all right. I'll have to see when this is done, but this, like, to me, this looks incomplete. But according to the pattern, this is done, but I don't know, unless this is meant to sort of look more like a flag, but to me these are meant to be strings, and so this one just kind of looks like it's floating in midair, so I might go in and, like, attach these and fill these out, or I might leave them, because I don't know. I'm under the impression that this, yeah, I think they get that. I'm not, but I'm probably an outlier. I'm competitive, but I don't care if I lose. Oh, interesting. Yeah, where you're like, I want to be the best version for myself. It's almost like you're in competition with yourself to, like, do the best for you. Maybe? I don't know. But yeah, I think that this image, I feel like it was a photo maybe. Like, they took a photo of Howl's Moving Castle, like a screenshot, and then they isolated just the castle and then stuck it in, like, a program. So I wonder if, like, some of the pixels maybe got changed or whatever, but I don't know. We'll see. It might, I don't know. We'll see if I complete that, or maybe it kind of fits the vibe if we can anticipate that maybe these are something else and not, like, strings or whatever. I grew up in sports, so I have that drive. Right, but I also know that people are better than me. That's interesting. Yeah, so you were sort of trained to have that more competitive nature, but then you also are pragmatic, and you're like, there is an understanding that there will be people better than me, but I'm still gonna try my damnedest. I feel like that feels healthy. That feels healthy. So you're not gonna, like, yeah. Because I think sometimes the problem with competitive, like, people that are overly competitive is that they're also bad losers. Like, they're poor winners and they're just poor sports in general. So to have a competitive nature, but also not have any, like, hard feelings about outcomes. I think that that's probably the healthiest version of competitive, actually. I'm trying a little more competitive in the sense of trying and not just giving up, because I'm afraid I don't do... Right. Yeah. Yeah, that becomes almost like a self-worth analysis where you have to sort of... Yeah. Yeah. I get what you mean, where you're sort of like, oh, no, it's fine, it doesn't matter. Because you sort of, like, internally are like, I don't need this. But then you're kind of like, no, actually... I should have these things. Yeah. And so then you're a bit more, you want to fight for them more because you have the sense of, yeah. But that's hard. And I don't even necessarily know if that's competitive. That's just more like, believing in yourself, I guess. Or like, yeah, feeling a sense of self-worth about having those things. Yeah, definitely. But that's definitely that's a challenge. I don't belittle that mental block that you have to sort of work through, because I feel like very similar in certain respects, where it's kind of like, well, you know, I didn't, like, it's fine that I didn't get that, because like that, you know, that person's more deserving of it anyway, as opposed to being like, no, actually I am also deserving. Like, even in, say, job hunting. Oh yeah, yeah. Of like, oh, like, let's apply for this thing, and then it's like, well, am I actually qualified? Yeah, I get that. Right, yeah. It's almost like second guessing your skill sets, because you're like, I can do this, but I'm not like so amazing at it like other people are, so I don't necessarily I can't say that. Yeah. Yeah, it's like talking yourself out of having those skills because you can't perform those skills 100% all the time or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, imposter syndrome for sure. And that's why truly, like, I'm in awe of people, because sometimes they say like, oh, you should just always apply. You never know. You know, you should just apply because you never know. Like, do what you can, right? They always encourage people to like, oh yeah, who's to say that you won't get an interview? If not, it'll be an experience or whatever, right? And I'm just always, again, I'm very similar to you, okay, where I'm like, well, why would I do that if I don't have these, like, it's almost like I psych myself out before I even have an opportunity to get in the door. Because I'm like, obviously I'm not qualified, or like I'm overqualified, or I don't have these specific skills, or like I maybe have this, but I don't check everything off of the like requirements list, so therefore there's no point, right? But then people will say like, yeah, but if everyone applies and they only have 75% of the requirements and you have 80% of the requirements, you might actually be the one to get the job. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah. I'm amazed at people who just have the audacity to go after things and don't. Yeah. It must, yeah. What's that like? Or it's fine for other people to make a living off their art, but I have a responsibility. Right. Ooh, yeah, that's tough. That's a tough one. I've applied to jobs I have no business applying to, leaving no stones unturned. I love that. Crafty Gremlin, this is the type of audacity I strive to have. Because like you said, it's one of those where it's an opportunity, and whether or not you get access to the opportunity or not, who knows, right? Isn't it like you don't get if you don't ask? Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Yeah, truly. This is like, honestly, like that is aspirational, which is incredible. I love that. To be fair, I feel a little bit like I get like that too, Kay, where I'll say like, well, I really like doing this thing, but because I can only do this part of it and can't do all of this, well then people won't actually care about it, and so I should just like not bother. And yeah, it sucks when we talk ourselves out of things. I think sometimes too, like, because there is like a grind sometimes with doing those sorts of things. And so it's whether or not you have, like you said, the drive and the determination, which I guess means you have to believe in yourself, therefore means the self-confidence to be like, no, I will do this and I can make this a livable option, and, you know, that sort of stuff. But yeah, it takes courage, it takes self-confidence, and it takes drive to pluck away at it and not expect like immediate results, right? The way I see it, I only needed to win once, so I just kept until... Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, you only needed the one win. But yeah, that you maximize the chances of winning the more you apply. Absolutely. Don't even need to believe in yourself. Believe in the odds. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, yeah, I love that. You don't have to believe in yourself. You just gotta believe in the maths. Believe in the science. To be fair, sometimes that is the easiest thing. If you can, like, because I remember listening to a YouTube video about that, where it's like, if you can remove your emotions from a situation, it's like, you just have to apply, which literally means, like, taking, you know, typing letters into a web page and pressing send. Like, taking the emotion out of it to be like, what are the individual tasks I need to do to accomplish this thing? It's like, for me, it's like send an email. And you're like, yeah, but what do I say? And then you build it up in your head and you're like, I'm just sending a thank you email. Type in the name of the email, say thanks, send it. Don't think about it, you know? But easier said than done, for sure. At least for me. Boo, ads, boo. These are the short ones. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah. But yeah, moral of the story, you don't need to believe in yourself, you just gotta believe in the science. And you don't have to put any emotions to a task, you just gotta do the task. Break it down into what the things are. But again, easier said than done. So it's like, yeah. Because I was in a mood today, but I wanted to finish doing something, and it was like, I don't need to put any emotion into this, I just gotta physically do the thing. And I got it done. But I might have been grumpy about it the whole time. But it still happened, you know? Yes, believe in the science, yeah. The maths don't lie. The more you apply, the higher the odds. Though I will say, because again, I've not... What is the saying? Something like angry people get shit done. Oh, really? Probably. Yeah. Oh, there was this... So when Shadow and I were walking today, we walked up the high street, like the sort of main street in the area, and we walked past like a car garage, like a car mechanic shop. And there was a guy standing outside the mechanic shop, and he looked like he was one of the guys who worked there. He's this older guy. And he just had, like, the biggest grimace, like, the biggest, like, grumpy face I had ever seen. And he was staring at me in shadow, so I, like, smiled at him as an acknowledgement. And sometimes what happens is, like, you know, people sometimes, and I know I'm the same way, I'll have, like, a stank face on. And then someone smiles at you, and then you're kind of like, oh, and then you smile and you, like, perk up because you don't realize, like, how kind of grumpy you're looking. But this guy, I smiled at him his face did not change. He was still in super grump mode. So Shadow and I kept walking. I didn't think anything of it. And he stopped to smell something. And so we had walked down, like, past the mechanic shop at this point, and Shadow had stopped to sniff, and I sort of looked, and the guy was still sort of looking in our direction. So obviously we were here. I smelled at him here, and he was looking, grump face. We kept going. And then he turned, and I looked around, and he still had the grumpiest grump face on. I was like, damn, sir. I wasn't, like, offended, but it was just one of those where I was like, damn, like, that's just what your face looks like? He looked so grumpy, giving peak grumpy old man vibes. And I was like, okay, I hope you have a nice day. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen someone have such a permanent, like, downtrodden corners of his mouth. But maybe he's having a rough day. He didn't say anything, he just looked grumpy. And I was like, honestly, man, you probably look how I feel on the inside, so fair. Oh, did I just freeze? That's rude. Alright, let's fill in this little spot here because we need to fill that in, and then we will call her quits for today. Reminder, there's no stream tomorrow because Shadow has a much needed grooming appointment. But we will be back next week. And then hopefully too, next week, because I'm doing a hobbycraft run because the hobbycraft is beside the groom place, and so I'll be gone for a little bit. Haha, some baseline is grumpy. Then throughout the day they gain points of it until they reset for the next day. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. It's true. But yeah, I'm hoping to pick up some bits to do some needle felting because we've not needle felted here in a long time. So my plan is to get some little like raw edge wooden discs, and then we're gonna needle felt different types of mushrooms and stick them on the wooden discs like little display thingies. I think it's gonna be really cute and fun. I'm excited to reference my little mushroom identification booklet. We're gonna do obviously standing mushrooms, but then also like turkey tail brackets and stuff like that. So I want to get ones that are like flat display ones, but also hanging ones. So yeah, I'm ready to get fungi funky next week. But we're gonna get some stuff. The other thing too, I think I'm gonna do is focus more on making some keychains and stuff like that. Cross stitching. I recently cross stitched. I made a non-binary pride heart keychain for someone. And that, I don't know, it was really like simple. I like did like a little pattern and it turned out really well. So I'm like, oh, I can do all the pride rainbows and stuff like that in keychain form and other things as well. So I want to experiment more with those. But yeah, I think, because again, the goal is still to eventually sell things at a Christmas market. And I've mentioned before how I have no stock. I have nothing. I have 3 items, and 3 items does not make a craft stall. So we need to start upping production. So we're going to attempt that in the coming weeks. And we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I was trying to needle felt a shroom, but having a few issues, so might ask for it. Yeah, not a problem, Kay. I will try my best. Try my best. Yeah, exciting. I don't know how. I'm following some local market groups, so I need to reach out to them and figure out how one acquires a stall at these markets. I don't know if I need to have like a business, like if I need to have like a formal like on paper business, what that would look like. And stuff like that. So there's still a little bit of research that needs to be done. But I think step 1 is make stock to sell. Again, which I have 3 items right now. So hoping to figure that out. I've come up with a couple ideas, so we're going to look into them together. Obviously, we're still going to be working on this bad boy because I'm really enjoying it. It's so detailed and it's just so satisfying to make progress on it. So I want to keep doing that. I don't know, maybe we'll game some more. Maybe not. I don't know. Gaming streams never do well, but that's fine. I enjoy them sometimes, but I also enjoy crafting more. We also still have craft kits. We still have some craft kits we've not done yet, so we got lots of stuff that we can look forward to in the coming weeks. But yeah, that is potentially the plan. So we will see. But if anyone has any raid suggestions, let me know. If not, we will go and see which of our friends is currently online. Yeah, and then I will see you guys on Tuesday. So Friday, and I will make sure I will post before and after photos in the Discord of Shadow before and after his grooming appointment. Because like I said, homeboy is in desperate need. This hellhound needs to be tamed. So I'll make sure to do that. And on the socials, because that's usually where I post things. But yeah. Gotta go earn some money now. No problem, Kay. Get that coin. Get that cash monies. And I will hopefully see you next week. I hope you have an amazing weekend as well. Thank you so much for stopping by. Work effort, right? Who are they? We don't know them. Yeah, best of luck to Shadow. Oh, he'll be fine. He's a little prima donna. He loves the groomer, even though he pretends he doesn't. Absolutely. He's all talk, and then I pick him up, and they're always like, Shadow was a dream. And I'm like, yeah. Do your best. Oh, look at that. Probacus with the encouraging words. Do your best. That's all we can do. All we can ask of you. But yeah, we are just finishing up this little section here, and then we will raid out for the day. And I'm gonna finish my granola bar afterwards. Yeah, be on the hunt for some Ukrainian food. I need a dealer, guys. I need the hookups. We need Southeast London Ukrainian food hookups. I mean, if you do your best and still fail, at least you say you did your best. It's true. It's true. Going through Maximus is such a drag. Really? Yeah. No, isn't that thing where you shoot for the moon, and even if you fail, you'll land among the stars? Isn't that what the saying is? So try your best, and you can always say you tried your best, and that's what matters. I assume Maximus is a place. Pardon my ignorance. And that's how you get oxygen not included. I am ravenous. Wow. That apple and cheese was not enough. That's good though. I feel like I'm glad you're ravenous instead of puking. You know what I mean? I'd rather you be really hungry than not able to eat at all. Hopefully there's more snackies. I know you are the resident snack supplier in the office, so hopefully there's some more snacks. What are the current good snack hookups? Got a cookie. Ooh, yes. Excellent. Love me some cookies. I've been really, I've been craving sort of, again, more like sweet, sugary stuff. I'm usually like a savory person and stuff, but usually lately I've been wanting really sweet things, but we have like Toblerone and stuff, which I love, but I've not really been wanting like chocolate sweet or like candy sweet. I've been wanting like baked goods sweet. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's a very distinctive, there's like different sweet taste palettes. Do you know what I mean? We have Chex Mix, regular chips, honey buns, peanuts, fruit by the foot, fruit roll-ups, Sour Patch Kids, Airheads, chocolate Skittles. I can't remember anymore. Wow, that's good. You got the good goods. I baked cookies over the weekend. Ooh, what kind did you make? That sounds awesome. I had the urge. We have a bunch of like digestive biscuits right now, which are doing the job, but love them. Chips Ahoy. That's not bad. It is doing, yeah, they are, from what I remember, Chips Ahoy is very crunchy. You baked a cake just for me? I love that. Excuse me, that is the energy we want to see over the weekend. What kind of cake did you bake? That's awesome. I love that. It's To be fair, I thought about the other day, I was like, oh man, it might be nice. Because since we finished our reception cake, we've had a big cake size hole in our lives. But I think we're actually out of, gluten-free, like just regular flour. So I gotta pick some of that up too. Because, yeah, I've had the urge as well. Cake, give please, yellow cake. Ooh, yellow cake with chocolate frosting. That's nice. Yes, you can have, because my husband hates it. Oh, really? He doesn't like yellow cake, or he doesn't like chocolate frosting, or both? Alright, we have finished this section. Let's now... figure out where we're going next. And then I will park this here, and then we will start. Hell yeah, free cake, free cake, free cake. Excellent. Okay, let's go see who is online. He doesn't like the frosting. Right. Yeah, I feel like frosting can divide a lot of people. I feel like there is a... Yeah, depending on the type of frosting too, I feel like frosting is a make or break. Also, the frosting to cake ratio I find is very important. Can I recommend a Chadley? Okay, what are they doing? However, I ate a spoon of the frosting and watched him gag. Amazing. A Chadley. Oh, they have a very nice mustache. Well, we like that. We like nice mustaches. Oh, you can see my face when I do this. That's a bit awkward. Okay. Hello, Shadow. Hi. They're playing Darkest Dungeon 2. Ooh, are they playing Darkest Dungeon? I actually love Darkest Dungeon. What's their... Did I spell it right? I think I did. I don't know. Oh, his name is... Oh, okay. I thought his name was Chadley. His name is Septix. Okay. Hello, Shadow. Septix. Okay, here we go. Found him. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, guys. If this is the game... Ooh, first playthrough as well. Because I love the original Darkest Dungeon. So if he's playing Darkest Dungeons 2, I am about that life. Wow. Okay. Cool. Let's do... Oh my goodness. Look at this boy. Look at this whiny boy. Hello. Yeah, we're gonna go raid out now, okay? He's reminding me. He's like, yo, you are done streaming now, Mom. Figure it out. Okay. Let me copy that. Let me go. He's like, bye. Stop exploiting me for views. Hey? Okay, let me copy. Oh, shit, I copied. Okay, whatever. Hello. Hello, Shadow. Hello, sir. All right. We're gonna go raid and make a new friend. Is that okay? Yeah, is that okay with you? He's like, absolutely not. All right, let's go make a new friend who's playing a game that I think is really cool, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. Bye.